Guo Guangsheng, chairman of the Eastern Group, said to Chen Fan in a domineering tone, "Either pay 10 billion in compensation or get out of Jiangzhou." The bodyguards behind him watched Chen Fan's every move, ready to act at any opportunity. The air was filled with tension and oppression. They were certain that Chen Fan, an ordinary student, was nothing more than a clown with an empty reputation. However, Chen Fan just smiled and made a call casually. "Remember, Jiangzhou does not need two strong men." After the call was hung up, Guo Guangxing's face turned pale and cold sweat broke out. The next second, his knees hit the ground directly. "Mr. Chen, I was wrong. Please let Dongson Group go." At the same time, on the other side, Chen Fan's voice was calm and cold. "Boss Luo, please take action and make Chen's Ocean Shipping Company completely withdraw from the market." At this time, the old man of the Chun family was confidently encouraging his clansmen. "That rubbish, Chen Fan? He can't beat us." Just as the voice fell, the phone rang harshly, bringing fatal bad news. "Master, Chen's Ocean Shipping Company has gone bankrupt." In just 33 days, Chen Fan grew from a nobody expelled from his family to the man behind Patek Philippe and Jingming Ocean Group. He looked down with a cold eye, not only deciding who would reach the top, but also who would fall into the abyss forever. Hi everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share. If you like this story, please let me know in the comment section. I will update the next part. Chapter 155. On the 33rd day of severing ties, he became the second largest shareholder of the 60 billion group. Chun Fan suffered a loss again. Xiao Ruoshui's sudden kiss made Chen Fan stunned. He was a little unwilling, thinking that he had to get back what he had lost. However, as he turned his eyes, he suddenly noticed that the two of them were standing just outside the window of the villa's living room, and Xiao Ruoshui's mother was sitting next to the sofa where she could clearly see here. The embarrassing scene of last night was still vivid in his mind, and Chen Fan had to forcibly suppress the counterattack plan in his mind. "Forget it, I'll deal with you next time." Chen Fan gritted his teeth, planning to take back this advantage when he had a chance in the future. Xiao Ruoshui smiled mischievously, turned around and left. "See you tomorrow." She left Chen Fan disheveled in the wind. System rewards received. The next morning, as soon as Chen Fan woke up, a familiar reminder sounded in his mind. Ding. 33 days after the severance of relations, he was rewarded with 8% shares of Jingming Ocean Group and is now the second largest shareholder of the company. Finally, Chen Fan smiled meaningfully. Jingming Ocean Shipping Group was a huge company, and this share reward gave him real say within the group. More importantly, it meant that he could finally take action against the remaining lifeline of the Chun family, Chen's Ocean Shipping Company. After thinking for a while, Chun Fan directly called the president of Jingming Ocean Group. When he told him that he had become the second largest shareholder, the president was obviously very surprised, but still responded enthusiastically. "Congratulations, Mr. Chun. I wonder if you have any instructions." "Mr. Luo, Chen Ocean Shipping Company is our competitor. I hope the group can concentrate its efforts to force them to completely withdraw from the market," Chen Fan said straightforwardly. The other party readily agreed. "No problem, Mr. Chen. This is a big deal. I will convene a board meeting immediately to ensure that the process goes smoothly." Everything was arranged. Chen Fan's mouth curled up slightly, as if he had already seen the scene of the Chun family falling from the peak to the bottom. Chen Fan's confidence and the provocation of Dongson Group. At noon, Chen Fan was in a good mood and specially arranged a big meal for himself. However, while he was enjoying the food, his capable subordinate Wei Jingxiong received an unexpected guest. The person who came was the representative of the chairman of the Dongson Group, a thin man with two bodyguards behind him. He was full of provocation as soon as he opened his mouth. "Did you get rid of Lu Donglin? Our chairman is very dissatisfied." Wei Jingxiong's heart sank, thinking that trouble was coming. The strength of the Dongson Group should not be underestimated, but Chen Xiao behind him was not to be trifled with. The other party sneered and continued. "Our chairman's meaning is very simple. Your boss can surrender and become our chairman's younger brother. In this way, not only can Lu Donglin's territory be preserved, but it can also save you from trouble." Hearing this naked threat, Wei Jingxiong's expression was cold, but he remained calm. "I can't make the decision on this matter. You could talk to my boss directly." The thin man sneered. "Okay." Wei Jingxiong then called Chen Fan and reported everything in detail. Chen Fan was silent for a moment, and then the system prompt sounded. Ding, mission trigger. Refuse to surrender. Resolve the threat of Dongson Group. Mission reward. proficient in 5 languages, 146 experience points. Chen Fan's eyes lit up when he saw the award. Language skills are crucial to his current career, especially as he is the president of Patek Philippe and will have to frequently contact international customers in the future. He must win this award. Let the other party answer the phone. Chen Fan said coldly. The thin man took the phone and thought Chen Fan was going to compromise, with a smug look on his face. However, the next second, the cold voice from the other end of the phone stunned him. Chapter 156. Countdown to bankruptcy of Chen's Ocean Shipping Company, mother-in-law's approval. Eastern Group? Tell your boss to get away. Chen Fan's voice came coldly. Although the mission reward has been released, even without the reward, Chen Fan will never give in. His pride and confidence will not allow him to become someone's younger brother, let alone Guo Guangsheng of the Eastern Group. You are so bold. The thin man was enraged. He was used to being rampant in Zhonghai province, and he had never met someone who ignored the authority of his boss like this. But I'm afraid your boss is too brave. Why does he think he can take me as his younger brother? Chun Fan retorted with disdain. Okay, you wait. The thin man angrily dropped the phone and walked away. He immediately reported the matter to Guo Guangsheng. After hearing the news, Guo Guangsheng laughed in anger. Boy, I think you are tired of living. Find out where he lives, and I will go to meet him in person. Guo Guangxing immediately summoned bodyguards, booked a flight to Jiangzhou, and set off in a menacing manner. Chun Fan's careful planning. In the afternoon, Chun Fan received a call from the president of Jingming Ocean Shipping Group, who informed him that the plan for Chen's Ocean Shipping Company had been approved by the board of directors. We can start the action tomorrow morning, if not earlier, the day after tomorrow, and no later than the day after tomorrow. Chen's Ocean Shipping Company will definitely go bankrupt. The president was full of confidence. Chun Fan responded with a faint smile. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Luo. After hanging up the phone, he knew that Chen's Ocean Shipping Company had entered the countdown, and it was only a matter of time before the Chen family lost half of its assets. Amazing calligraphy and recognition from Xia's mother. After returning home, Chun Fan placed the newly purchased brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the desk in his study. The top calligraphy skill he received as a reward from the system yesterday made him eager to test his level. After some debugging, he gradually got into the state, from regular script to official script, and then to running script, cursive script, and seal script. Each font was as natural as flowing water. For a while, Chun Fan's study was filled with a strong scent of ink, and he was amazed at his new skills. However, just as he was immersed in calligraphy, the doorbell rang. When he opened the door, it turned out to be Xia Ruoshue's mother. Chun Fan smiled and invited her in. It turned out that Xia Ruoshue went to the company, Xia Mingming was at school, and Xia's mother felt bored at home alone. When she saw Chun Fan's car, she decided to come and talk to him and play a few games of chess. As soon as she entered the room, Mother Xia smelled a familiar scent of ink. Xiao Fan, are you practicing calligraphy? She asked curiously. Yes, that's right. Chun Fan nodded. Xiao Fan, you can also write calligraphy? Mother Xia was a little surprised. She thought Chen Fan was just a college student with excellent cooking skills, but she didn't expect that calligraphy was also one of his interests. I know a little bit, Chen Fan said modestly. Then let me see it, Xia's mother asked with interest. Chen Fan took her into the study, and all the works on the table were visible. When Mother Xia saw the smooth and flowing characters, she was stunned. There were 5 types of calligraphy: regular script, official script, running script, cursive script, and seal script. Each one was perfect, even better than her who had studied calligraphy for many years. Xiao Fan, your level is really amazing. Mother Xia was filled with emotion. Her original concerns about Chun Fan disappeared at this moment. She couldn't help but sigh that this young man was so outstanding. No wonder Ruoshue chose him. Thank you for the compliment, Annie. Chun Fan remained humble. Afterwards, the two played a few games of chess in a pleasant and harmonious atmosphere. Just when the game was in full swing, there was a sudden knock on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Chun Fan frowned slightly. It seemed that another uninvited guest had come. Chapter 157, Domineeringly Defending Chun Fan's Mother-in-Law, the Horror of the Xia Family. Chun Fan opened the door and saw a middle-aged man with an imposing aura standing outside, with his hands behind his back and a cold expression. Next to him was the thin man from before, and behind him were 4 bodyguards in black. Are you the boss behind Wei Jingxiong, Chun Fan? The thin man asked gloomily. It's you? Chun Fan recognized him. and immediately turned his gaze to the middle-aged man next to the thin man. "This is our boss, chairman of Eastern Group, Guo Guangsheng," the thin man introduced proudly. Guo Guangsheng looked Chen Fan up and down and sneered. "You are nothing but this. How dare you reject me and tell me to get lost?" Chen Fan smiled calmly. "You are nothing but this person. How dare you come to my door?" Guo Guangxing was choked with laughter. "Boy, don't think that you can really do whatever you want just because you took over Lu Donglin's territory in Jiangzhou. I have a lot of subordinates like Lu Donglin. So who do you think you are? What does this have to do with me?" Chun Fan shrugged indifferently. Guo Guangxing's face darkened and his tone turned cold. "Pay 10 billion, return Lu Donglin's territory to me, and get out of Jiangzhou, and I will generously let you go. Otherwise, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life." Chun Fan sneered. "Make me regret it? Then you'd better get out of Jiangzhou." Hearing Chun Fan's response, Guo Guangxing was furious and ordered his men in a cold voice. "Teach him a lesson." At this moment, Xiao Ruoshui's mother heard the noise outside and came out of the study. She walked calmly with a calm smile on her face. "What happened, Xiao Fan?" Xiao's mother's voice broke the deadlock. Guo Guangxing mistakenly thought that Xiao's mother was Chun Fan's mother and said arrogantly, "Your son has offended someone he can't afford to offend." Mother Xia smiled slightly and said calmly, "Oh, who did he offend?" "Eastern Group," Guo Guangxing answered arrogantly. Hearing this name, Xiao's mother was thoughtful and whispered, "It turns out that this is a small company founded by the little rich man, Guo Minfu." After hearing this, Guo Guangxing's subordinates couldn't help but shout, "How dare you? How dare you say that our Dongson Group is a small company? Shut up!" Guo Guangxing suddenly raised his hand to stop her, turned his head and stared at Xiao's mother, and asked cautiously, "Do you know my father?" Xiao's mother said with disdain, "My husband met Guo Minfu at the Shanghai Financial Summit last year. He was trying to curry favor with us like a dogskin plaster. It was disgusting." Hearing the words Magic Capital Financial Summit, Guo Guangxing was completely panicked. His father had indeed participated in the summit, but he had only managed to get the qualification with great difficulty. "Excuse me, who is your husband?" Guo Guangxing asked tentatively. "Xiaohido," Xiao's mother answered lightly. Guo Guangxing's face turned pale instantly, and cold sweat broke out. He trembled and asked, "The Xiao River map of the Xiao family in the Magic City?" Mother Xiao nodded. Guo Guangxing was stunned, and even his legs went limp. He looked at Chen Fan and asked tentatively, "My future son-in-law." Mother Xia smiled indifferently. At this moment, Guo Guangxing completely collapsed. With a thud, he fell to his knees and kowtowed to Chen Fan and Xiao's mother. "I was wrong, sir. I was wrong. If I had known it was you, I would never have dared to offend you." Guo Guangxing's men also quickly knelt down and kowtowed for mercy. Xiao's mother said coldly, "You are not qualified to apologize. Let your father come in person. If I find out that you are targeting Xiao Fan again, the Dongson Group will disappear completely." "Yes, yes, yes. I will ask my father to apologize right away." Guo Guangxing and his men fled, crawling away. Chen Fan looked at Guo Guangxing, who left in embarrassment and couldn't help but sigh at the strong influence of the Xia family. "Thank you, Annie," Chen Fan said sincerely. Mother Xia smiled slightly. "You're welcome. System rewards and easy task completion." Just after Guo Guangxing left, the system prompt sounded. "Ding mission completed. Reject the other party and resolve the threat of Dongson Group. Reward: proficient in 5 languages, English, French, German, etc. Reward: 146 experience points." A huge amount of memories flooded into Chun Fan's mind, and he instantly mastered 5 languages. Thinking that Xiao's mother's words solved such a big problem, Chun Fan had more respect for the Xiao family. Jingming Ocean Group takes action. Chun Fan receives good news. The next morning, Chun Fan had just gotten up when he received a call from the president of Jingming Ocean Shipping Group. "Mr. Chen, we have already taken action against Chen's Ocean Shipping Company. Please wait for good news." Chun Fan hung up the phone, feeling particularly happy. The Shun family's final struggle. At the same time, the Shun family was plotting against Chen Fan. "Dad, are we just going to let it go like this?" Shen Hanhai asked unwillingly. Shin Qingran said coldly, "This time I will ask a big shot from outside to take action. As long as it succeeds, our Shin family will be able to completely turn the tables." He made a call and promised to pay the other party 3 billion yuan in bribes. The other party agreed to discuss the matter in person and arranged to meet at Shilon Restaurant. Chen Qingran was full of confidence and believed that the day when he would be able to hold his head high was just around the corner. New system reward. 1,000-fold rebate card. At this time, the system prompt sounded again. Ding. 34 days after the severance of the relationship. Reward consumption 1,000 times rebate card. Up to 4.5 billion rebates. Seeing this reward, Chun Fan's eyes lit up. This card meant that as long as he spent 4.5 million, he could get a full 4.5 billion in rebates. This is so cool. Chen Fan couldn't help but sigh. Earn over 4 billion in a few minutes. Holding the card with a 1,000-fold rebate, Chun Fan was in a good mood. He still remembered the predicament of insufficient liquidity when he acquired Yum Brand's last time, but now with this card, he will have more than billions of liquidity in his hands. In Jiangzhou, I'm afraid no one can match him. It's time to eat. After receiving the reward, Chen Fan stood up with a smile, ready to enjoy a sumptuous lunch. At the same time, in the private room of Shilon Restaurant, Chen Qingran and his son were waiting nervously. Their hopes were placed on a big shot from another place. As long as the other party agreed to take action, Chen Fan would be finished. Chen Qingran was full of confidence, thinking that Chen Fan was just a rich man in Jiangzhou, far less important than this big shot. Not long after, a thin, middle-aged man pushed the door open. "Hello, Mr. Xiang." Chen Qingran quickly stood up and greeted him respectfully. "Hello, Mr. Xiang." Seeing this, Shen Hanhai hurriedly followed suit and greeted him. The thin man nodded calmly, sat down, and said, "Just tell me what you want to say. Don't beat around the bush." Chen Qingran did not dare to neglect and went straight to the point. "Mr. Xiang, I have an enemy and I can't deal with him. I hope you can help teach him a lesson and let him know the price of offending our Shen family." "Oh, is that guy very powerful?" Xiang Jinyu raised his eyebrows, looking a little nonchalant. "He's just a wealthy man in Jiangzhou, not worth mentioning in front of you," Shen Qingran said disdainfully, and then added, "As long as you are willing to help, I am willing to pay 3 billion as hard work fee." After hearing this, Xiang Jinyu remained calm on the surface, but he was already laughing in his heart. He asked casually on the surface, "Oh, what's this person's name and what's his background?" "His name is Chen Fan. He used to be a member of the Chen family and now runs Yongtai Real Estate." Shen Qingran sneered. Chen Fan Xiang Jinyu was slightly startled and then frowned. "You are quite young, aren't you?" he asked again. "Yes, around 19 or 20 years old," Shen Qingran answered confidently. Hearing this, Xiang Jinyu was instantly certain that the enemy Shen Qingran was talking about was none other than Chen Fan, the shareholder of Patek Philippe and a frequent guest of his father Xiang Lao. Xiang Jinyu pretended nothing had happened and said, "Wait a minute, I'm going to the bathroom." After walking out of the private room, he immediately sneered and cursed inwardly. "This Shen Qingran is really courting death. He actually wants me to deal with Mr. Chen?" Without hesitation, he called Chen Fan and informed him of the whole situation. On the other end of the phone, Chen Fan laughed after hearing this. 3 billion? Shen Qingran is indeed very generous. "Mr. Chen, what do you think we should do next?" Xiang Jinyu asked. "Promise him, but 3 billion is too little. You are Mr. Xiang, you should at least ask for 5 billion. Chen Fan said in a playful tone. Xiang Jinyu immediately understood what Chen Fan meant, and a sly smile appeared on his face. "I understand, Mr. Chun. Since Shen Qingran is so rich, I will definitely make him bleed heavily. Also, when the time comes, we'll split the money we get from him 90:10. You get 90 and I get 10. Xiang Jinyu took the initiative to propose. Chen Fan smiled and said, "No need, just split it 50-50. "That won't do," Xiang Jinyu said firmly. "Mr. Chun, I will need you to cooperate with me in acting. I can cheat Shen Qingran out of 6 or 7 billion with just a few expressions. I must do a great job on this one." In the end, the two sides agreed to a 70% to 30% split. Xiang Jinyu said proudly, "Don't worry, Mr. Chun. I will make Shen Qingran lose everything this time." Back in the private room, Xiang Jinyu sat down as if nothing had happened and agreed to Shen Qingran's request, but he asked loudly, 3 billion is too little. I want at least 5 billion from Mr. Xiang." Shen Qingran hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and nodded. "Okay, 5 billion is 5 billion. As long as I can make Shen Fan kneel down and beg for mercy. Shen Qingran, don't care about this little money." In Shen Qingran's mind, his plan was flawless. Although 5 billion was a lot, he would squeeze it back from Chun Fan afterwards. By then, he would not only be able to keep the money, but also severely suppress Chun Fan's arrogance. "Chen Fan, This time, I will let you know the consequences of offending my Shen family. However, in the eyes of those who knew the situation, Shen Qingran's complacency and careful planning were nothing more than foolish behavior that would help others. Chapter 160. When Xiang Jinyu returned to the private room, Shen Qingran immediately asked anxiously, Mr. Xiang, can this be accomplished? Xiang Jinyu pretended to be embarrassed, shook his head, and said, Chen Fan is not a simple person. I'm afraid your 3 billion is not enough. 3 billion is not enough. Shen Qingran frowned, but did not dare to show too much dissatisfaction. Let me put it this way. You can use this little money to try out the results first. If you're satisfied, we can talk about the follow-up costs. Xiang Jinyu said lightly, but he was laughing secretly in his heart, luring you into the trap step by step. Okay. Shen Qingran gritted his teeth and transferred 3 billion immediately. Xiang Jinyu left immediately after getting the money and returned to the car to contact Chen Fan. He asked Chen Fan to record a video showing a worried look so that Shen Qingran would mistakenly believe that the plan worked. That's easy. Chen Fan agreed readily, then found an angle, looked down at his phone, frowned, as if he was in big trouble. After recording the short video of just a few dozen seconds, Chen Fan sent it to Xiang Jinyu with a smile. After watching the video, Xiang Jinyu said with satisfaction, Mr. Chen, this is a sure thing. With this video, I can cheat Shen Qingran out of another 3 billion. Chen Fan also laughed. It's so easy to make billions. What could be better than this? Just as Chen Fan was returning home, good news came again. The top executives of Tianya Headhunting Company reported to him that they had successfully poached more than 20 key technical and management talents from the Chun family's business. Although these talents have no relationship with the Chun family, they are indispensable to several important industries of the Chen family. Their departure is undoubtedly a heavy blow to the Chen family. Well done, Chen Fan said with satisfaction, and instructed the headhunting company to arrange these talents into his own industries based on their specialties. As Chen Fan's plan progressed step by step, the countdown to the Chen family's complete bankruptcy gradually began. In the afternoon, Chen Fan accompanied Xia Ruoshui and her mother to visit Baiyuan, a famous scenic spot in Jiangzhou. Baiyuan is a Jiangnan garden covering an area of more than 50 acres, with beautiful scenery. It is one of the must-visit places for tourists to Jiangzhou. As they entered Baiyuan, they suddenly heard a shout from behind. Boss Xia? Looking back, a young man in a suit and tie was walking towards her quickly. He was Fan Chaohui, the president of a large group's Jiangzhou branch, and also one of Xia Ruoshui's many suitors. Hello, Mr. Xia. Fan Chaohui had a smile on his face, but his eyes were filled with inquiry. Hello. Xia Ruoshui responded coldly, but deliberately stood closer to Chen Fan. Fan Jiaowei noticed this action. His eyes fell on Chen Fan, and his tone revealed a hint of sourness. Boss Xia, who is this? This is my mother, Xia Ruoshui replied. Hello, Aunqi. Fan Jiaowei immediately greeted politely, and then tentatively said, Boss Xia, I didn't expect to meet you here. What a coincidence. Yes, but we have other things to do. My boyfriend and I are accompanying my mother on a trip, so we won't talk much. Xia Ruoshui said lightly. What? Boyfriend? Fan Chaohui was stunned, his eyes instantly fixed on Chen Fan, and his face turned ugly. At this moment, Fan Chaohui was almost roaring in his heart. Why does this guy do this? Fan Chaohui thought he had enough advantages. Graduated from a top university, young and promising, and now the president of a branch company. However, Xia Ruoshui chose a seemingly ordinary man. Feeling unwilling to give up, Fan Jiaowei gritted his teeth and decided, no matter what, I must get Goddess Xia back from this guy. On the surface, Fan Jiaowei still had a smile on his face. Congratulations, President Xia. This brother was able to win President Xia's heart, so he must have graduated from a top prestigious university, right? I don't know which university it is. Maybe we are alumni. His tone was modest on the surface, but was also provocative. He was trying to show off his superiority in front of Xia's mother, trying to make Chen Fan feel ashamed by comparison. Chen Fan smiled slightly, not caring at all. Facing Fan Jiaowei's test, he seemed relaxed and calm. Xia Ruoshui, on the other hand, was slightly impatient and turned to Chen Fan and said, let's go, don't waste time. Faced with Xia Ruoshui's cold attitude, Fan Chaohui became even more jealous and secretly planned his next move. D160 Zhang, show off your language skills in front of Chen Fan. How many languages does Chen Fan know? Jiangzhou University. Chen Fan responded casually. When Fan Jiaowei heard this, he immediately showed a look of disgust. Jiangzhou University? Isn't that an ordinary undergraduate college? It's not even a 211. As soon as Fan Jiaowei said this, he thought he had easily crushed Chen Fan with his academic qualifications. However, Xiao Mingming couldn't stand it anymore and immediately fought back. What's wrong? Did Jiangzhou University provoke you? Do you look down on our school? Fan Jiaowei was stunned. He didn't expect that the person who started to criticize him was actually Xia Ruoshui's sister. What was even more embarrassing was that Xia Ruoshui added, "My sister Xiao Mingming is also a student of Jiangzhou University." The atmosphere suddenly turned cold, and Fan Xiaohui was very upset. He originally wanted to put Chen Fan down, but he accidentally offended Xia Ruoshui's sister and mother. At this moment, he couldn't help but regret it. "Which university did you graduate from?" Xiao Mingming asked. Fan Jiaowei's mother immediately responded with pride. "My son is a Yale University graduate who is in the top 10 in the world." At this time, there was a commotion not far away. A foreign woman looked flustered and kept speaking something in a foreign language to the tourists, but no one understood. For a moment, everyone looked confused. Fan Jiaowei's eyes lit up, thinking this was a great opportunity to show off his language skills. He said confidently, "I learned several foreign languages at Yale University. Let me do it." As he said this, he glanced at Chun Fan proudly, as if to say, "Boy, watch how I can easily handle this next." He walked up to the foreign woman and greeted her in French. "Hello, how are you?" However, the other party looked confused and obviously didn't understand. Maybe he's not French, Fan Jiaowei thought. So he switched to Russian and asked. The foreign woman still shook her head in confusion. Fan Jiaowei froze for a moment. These were the only two foreign languages he knew, and neither of them was useful. He was immediately embarrassed. "Didn't you say you know many languages? Why don't you keep on speaking?" The onlookers couldn't help but tease him. "Tisk, with this level you brag about it so much, but in the end you can't do anything." Being ridiculed by everyone, Fan Xiaohui wished he could find a hole to crawl into. At this moment, a calm voice sounded. "Let me try." Chen Fan stepped forward and spoke to the foreign woman in fluent Spanish. The foreign woman's eyes flashed with surprise, and she quickly responded in Spanish. It turned out that she was lost and her English-speaking friend was not around, so she had no idea how to leave. After exchanging a few words, Chen Fan explained to the tourist attraction staff, "She is lost. Please take her to the exit." "No problem." The staff agreed and took the foreign woman away. This scene amazed the onlookers. This is real strength. It's so easy to do it. Yes, some people are just good at bragging, but they are not as good as others. Another sarcastic voice came from the crowd. "Xiao Fan, you can speak Spanish?" Xiao Ruoshui's mother looked surprised. "Yeah." Chun Fan nodded in response. "Brother-in-law, how many languages do you know?" Xiao Mingming asked curiously. "Not many, just 6. Chun Fan answered casually. "6 kinds?" Xiao Mingming's eyes widened, and she couldn't help but sigh. "Brother-in-law, you are so amazing." Xiao Ruoshui's mother couldn't help but be surprised that Xiao Fan, at such a young age, was proficient in 6 languages. Not only did he have outstanding talent in art, but his talent in languages was also amazing. "Xiao Fan, you're really excellent." Mother Xia looked at Chen Fan, and the satisfaction in her eyes became more and more intense. Chapter 162. Xia Ruoshui's mother's favorability towards Chun Fan increased again, and Xia Ruoshui proudly took Chen Fan's arm, her eyes full of admiration and pride. Her man is indeed excellent. Fan Xiaohui, on the other hand, was filled with annoyance and jealousy. He wanted to crush Chen Fan with his language skills, but he shot himself in the foot, allowing Chun Fan to easily win the appreciation of Xia Ruoshui and Xia's mother. How could this damn guy be so outstanding? Fan Xiaohui gritted his teeth secretly, the flame of jealousy in his heart burning more and more fiercely. Chun Fan handled it easily, and Xia Ruoshui asked curiously, "How come you're so good at languages? Do you have other skills that I don't know about?" "Of course I have, but it's not convenient to show it," Chen Fan said in a deliberately low voice. "Why is it inconvenient?" Xia Ruoshui wondered, then seemed to think of something. Her cheeks flushed slightly, and she patted Chen Fan coquettishly. "Hateful." This intimate interaction almost broke Fan Xiaohui's heart. He watched Chen Fan take all the limelight, and his heart was burning with anger. During the tour, Xia's mother stopped in front of an ancient building and noticed the information about the performance of Master Han Yidong on the signboard. She was obviously very interested in the performance of this master. "Annie, Are you interested in this performance? Chen Fan asked. I've heard of this master, but never had the chance to listen to him live. This time I happened to meet him. Mother Xia nodded. Chen Fan scanned the QR code on the billboard, but found that the tickets were already sold out. He asked the staff next to him, Are there any tickets left? No more. They were sold out the minute the news was released. The staff member replied helplessly, Most of the tickets were reserved by people with internal connections. Mother Xia sighed regretfully. Forget it. Let's continue shopping. However, Fan Zhaohui, who had been following behind, finally found an opportunity and quickly said, Auntie, don't worry. I can get the ticket with just one phone call. Can you handle it? Chun Fan raised his eyebrows, but didn't say anything. Of course, I'm very familiar with the leaders of Baiyuan, and this is just a small matter for me. Fan Zhaohui was full of confidence, and his tone was full of boasting. He deliberately glanced at Chen Fan, his eyes full of pride. Fan Zhaohui took out his cell phone and dialed a number. Lao Qin, I'm in Baiyuan. There's a performance by Master Han. Please get me some tickets. Money is not a problem. The other party replied, Please wait a moment. I will see if I can arrange it. After hanging up the phone, Fan Zhaohui said to Xia's mother with a confident look, Annie, don't worry. They will definitely give me face if I ask. A few seconds later, the call came back. Fan Zhaohui answered the call impatiently and asked with a smile, Lao Qin, have you got the tickets? However, the other party replied, Old Fan, I'm sorry. There is really nothing I can do about this. The people who booked the tickets have very important backgrounds, and I dare not make any adjustments casually. Isn't it just a few tickets? Why do you have to be so disrespectful? Fan Zhaohui said angrily. Sorry, brother. I really can't help you this time. The other party hung up the phone before he could finish. For a moment, Fan Zhaohui froze in place, the smile on his face completely gone. Thinking back to how proud he was just now, he wished he could find a hole in the ground to crawl into. How shameful. Someone nearby whispered. At this moment, Chun Fan smiled calmly. Annie, I've already got the ticket. What? Everyone was stunned. Chapter 163. Chun Fan sent a text message casually, and a few minutes later, he got the coveted Baiyuan ticket, and Fan Zhaohui was ruthlessly slapped in the face in front of everyone, which caught everyone off guard. The atmosphere at the scene changed instantly, and everyone stared with wide eyes, unable to believe it. Really, Xiao Fan? Xia Ruoshui's mother asked with incredible surprise. She had given up, but Chun Fan's relaxed behavior made her look at her future son-in-law with admiration again. Fan Zhaohui's face turned pale, and he sneered. Stop bragging. I asked the leaders of Baiyuan, and they couldn't do it. How could you possibly do it? Chen Fan said calmly. I'm looking for the leader of the biggest leader in Baiyuan. This sentence was like a heavy hammer hitting Fan Zhaohui's self-esteem, making his smile freeze and his heart begin to panic. Just as he was trying to taunt Chen Fan, a Baiyuan leader trotted over, holding a ticket, and handed it to Chun Fan respectfully. Mr. Chen, this is your ticket. Please follow me. Then, Chun Fan was directly led into the ancient building. Looking at this scene, Fan Zhaohui was completely stunned, and his mind was blank. On this side, Chun Fan entered calmly, while on the other side, Fan Zhaohui looked like he was slapped hard in the face. He couldn't even utter a polite word, and could only leave with his parents in shame. But this is not the end. On the other side, Xiang Jinyu's part also began. He took a video of Chun Fan's sad face and sent it to Shen Qingran. Master Shen, I just made a little move, and Chen Fan is like this. As long as you add another 3 billion, I guarantee that he will not be able to recover. When Shen Qingran saw the video, he laughed excitedly. Finally, it's Chun Fan's turn to be unlucky. He transferred 3 billion without hesitation, imagining Chun Fan's miserable situation. A few hours later, when Chun Fan finished listening to the performance, he received a text message on his mobile phone. 4.2 billion yuan was added to the account. It turned out that this was the result of Xiang Jinyu cheating Shin Qingran's 6 billion yuan and splitting it with Chun Fan in a 70-30 ratio. Chun Fan easily won 4.2 billion yuan and also completed a leisurely tour of Baiyuan. In the whole play, he just acted symbolically and let his opponent pay out of his own pocket, and lost completely. On the other side, Shin Qingran was still waiting for good news, confidently imagining Chun Fan's failure. But he didn't know that Chun Fan was in a good mood at the moment, taking Xia Ruoshui and her daughter to continue their leisurely tour to the next stop. Chapter 164. As night fell, the Shin family father and son were still looking forward to the good news that was coming, and they were looking forward to Chen Fan being taught a lesson. However, as time passed, Xiang Jinyu still hadn't sent any news. Shin Qingran couldn't help but call Xiang Jinyu. Mr. Xiang, have you settled the matter regarding Chen Fan? Shin Qingran lowered his voice, full of humility. Xiang Jinyu's sneering voice came from the other end of the phone. Is it done? Asked Chun Xiao in person. The next second, the call was transferred to Chen Fan. Master Shin, thank you for your generosity. 6 billion, 4.5 billion have already been received. You are really a money-giving boy. Chen Fan's voice was understated, but it struck Shin Qingran's mind like thunder. What? Mr. Xiang, how could you? Shin Qingran was extremely flustered. On the other end of the phone, Xiang Jinyu snatched the microphone with disdain and said sarcastically, Shin Qingran, who do you think you are? You actually want to deal with Mr. Chen? The 6 billion is divided between Mr. Chun and me 30% and 70%. Go away and stop dreaming. After hanging up the phone, Shin Qingran's face turned pale, his body went limp, and he almost fainted. Father, what should we do? Shin Hanhai asked cautiously. Shin Qingran smiled bitterly, as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. Next time you see Chen Fan, keep your head down. He is not someone we can mess with. Restaurant confrontation. The next day at noon, Chen Fan had a dinner date with Fading Group's talented intern Zhu Lingyu at Wangjiang Pavilion. Zhu Lingyu arrived early and unexpectedly ran into his old classmate Su Tongtong. Lingyu, long time no see. Su Tongtong smiled brightly, but her eyes were filled with a hint of provocation. The two were both top scorers in the college entrance examination, but Zhu Lingyu's brilliance overshadowed Su Tongtong. Over the years, this jealousy made Su Tongtong deliberately look for opportunities to mock Zhu Lingyu. Which company are you interning at? Su Tongtong asked casually. Feitian Group. Zhu Lingyu answered frankly. Feitian Group? Su Tongtong almost laughed out loud, hiding her inner pride and pretending to be regretful. Lingyu, why did you go to such a small company? You should choose a big company for internship. For someone like me, going to an international company is the right choice. Zhu Lingyu was neither humble nor arrogant and did not respond. Just as Su Tongtong was getting more and more proud, Chen Fan appeared. He sat down casually, glanced at Su Tongtong, and said lightly, Fading Group is a small company? Sorry, I'm the boss of Fading Group. This one sentence made Su Tongtong's smile freeze on her face. Boss? You. Su Tongtong was full of disbelief. But when the waiter affectionately called Chun Fan Mr. Chun, her face turned red instantly. Chun Fan sneered. Zhu Lingyu is our company's treasure, a genius that I can't find even if I spend a lot of money. If you think Fei Teng is too small, why don't you try to come in and see if you can pass the initial screening? Su Tongtong was speechless and left in disgrace. Zhu Lingyu looked at Chen Fan gratefully, but Chen Fan just waved his hand and said calmly, Don't worry about these people. Your strength will shut them up. Chapter 165. As soon as Zhu Lingyu finished speaking, Su Tongtong's face was full of disbelief. Deputy General Manager? Fading Group really gave you this position? You are kidding. Su Tongtong's tone was mixed with a hint of panic, but more of it was jealousy that could not be concealed. At this moment, Chen Fan smiled calmly and looked at Su Tongtong. Miss Su, Fading Group is a little small, but its future potential and opportunities may not be worse than Armani where you are. Chen Fan's words were like thunder from a clear sky, leaving Su Tongtong speechless for a moment. But she was unwilling to give up. She frowned and forced out a sentence. Mr. Chun, maybe Fading Group is a good start for Lingyu, but compared with large international companies, the scale is always limited, right? Armani is a world-renowned brand. The resources and development space it can provide are simply not comparable to Fading Group. Chun Fan smiled faintly, leaning back in his chair, his eyes calm, but revealing an indescribable sense of oppression. Indeed, Armani's popularity in the international market is unquestionable. But Lingyu's future development does not necessarily have to rely on these so-called big companies. At this time, Chen Fan changed the subject, but his tone was light. In fact, I also feel that Fading Group is a bit unfair to Lingyu's ability, so I've been considering arranging her to work at Patek Philippe headquarters in a while. Patek Philippe? Su Tongtong's mouth was so wide open that she could swallow an egg. Her mind was in a daze. Patek Philippe, the headquarters of the world's top luxury brand, was not something that a team leader of the Armani branch like her could imagine. Mr. Chun, you mean, can you arrange for her to work at Patek Philippe headquarters? She finally couldn't help asking, her voice trembling slightly. Chun Fan smiled. and his tone was still gentle. It's just arranging for someone to go there. What's so strange about that? Su Tongtong was completely stunned. Is this something that can be said casually? Zhu Lingyu was extremely excited when she heard this. She knew what Patek Philippe represented, and it was a world-class stage. At this moment, Chen Fan seemed to be just talking about a trivial matter. This kind of confidence made people involuntarily convinced. Seeing Su Tongtong still standing there in a daze, Chen Fan smiled slightly. Miss Su, everyone pursues different things. The Armani branch is indeed good, but if you want to go further, perhaps our fading group can also provide you with some opportunities. How about it? Are you interested in giving it a try? Su Tongtong's face turned pale and blue, and she felt very complicated. At this moment, she realized that she didn't know the details of the man in front of her. And the sense of superiority that she had always been proud of was gone in the other party's casual words. There was a brief silence in the air. After a moment, Su Tongtong forced a smile and said, "It seems that I really underestimated Ling Yu and Mr. Chen's ability. However, this also shows that Ling Yu's choice is indeed very insightful." As soon as she said this, she felt her face burning. She thought she could use Armani's halo to suppress Zhu Lingyu, but unexpectedly, she was slapped in the face instead. Zhu Lingyu smiled slightly and said calmly, "Senior Su, I think the most important thing is to find a stage that really suits you. Fading Group is the best choice for me. At this moment, the winner is clear." Su Tongtong said goodbye awkwardly. The smile on her face was difficult to maintain, and she left in a hurry. After she left, Zhu Lingyu turned to look at Chen Fan and said gratefully, "Mr. Chen, thank you so much for today." Chen Fan waved his hand and said, "It's just a small matter. I just gave her some advice." Having said that, Zhu Lingyu already knew in his heart that the young boss in front of him was far from being as simple as he seemed. Chapter 166. 35th Day of Severance of Relationship. Reward of 10% shares of Patek Philippe. Chun Fan picked up the teacup, smiled slightly, looked at Su Tongtong's surprised expression, and said in a calm but unquestionable tone, "Ms. Su, what I just said is very clear. I am the boss of Fading Group and also the boss of Patek Philippe." Su Tongtong was so shocked that she almost knocked over her teacup, and her heart was in turmoil. She thought Chen Fan was just the boss of a small company, but she never expected that he actually had control over Patek Philippe. This is the world's top luxury brand, and this identity alone is enough to make her feel ashamed. "Mr. Chun, I'm sorry for offending you just now. Please forgive me." She instantly put on a flattering smile, trying to get closer to him. Chen Fan glanced at her calmly, but didn't say much. He just ordered her to leave. "Ms. Su, Vice President Zhu and I have some work to discuss today, so it may not be convenient for you to stay here." The words were calm, but with a hint of majesty that could not be refused. Although Su Tongtong was unwilling, she did not dare to stay any longer and could only say goodbye awkwardly and leave. After her figure completely disappeared, Chun Fan turned to look at Zhu Lingyu, his expression returning to a casual state. "Okay, let's continue talking about business." Zhu Lingyu nodded gratefully, and the two began to discuss some future plans for Patek Philippe. Chen Fan made it clear that he hoped to make Patek Philippe his most core asset, and at the same time, he needed Zhu Lingyu to integrate as soon as possible and become his right-hand man. However, when talking about the issue of Patek Philippe shares, Chen Fan's tone was a little helpless. "At present, I only have 37% of the shares, which is 13% away from absolute control. Once someone joins forces with other shareholders, it will be easy to hinder me." Zhu Lingyu was about to say something when a familiar system prompt sounded in Chun Fan's mind. "Ding! On the 35th day of severing the relationship, you will be rewarded with 10% of Patek Philippe's shares." Hearing this news, Chun Fan smiled and was filled with excitement. His shareholding ratio soared to 47%, less than 4% away from controlling the company. This gave him more confidence. "It seems that the system always knows what I need." Chun Fan was secretly delighted, and at the same time he became more certain that as long as there were a few more rewards, the control of Patek Philippe would be completely in his hands. After the meal, Zhu Lingyu solemnly expressed his gratitude to Chen Fan. "Mr. Chen, thank you for giving me such a big platform. I will definitely go all out and live up to your expectations." Chen Fan smiled and patted her shoulder. "Work hard, and you will have a bigger stage in the future." At the same time, in the Chun family villa, Mr. Chun gathered family members and gave an inspiring speech in high spirits. "Everyone, isn't it just the loss of the Chun Capital Group? This is nothing. As long as we can deal with that little bastard Chen Fan and let him marry into the Su family, all the losses can be easily compensated by the Su family. The Chen family members nodded in agreement, believing that this crisis was only temporary. As long as they could step on Chen Fan's shoulders, they would not only be able to make a comeback, but also go to a higher level. That's right. Our Chen family's foundation is still there. Assets like Chen's Ocean Shipping Company are enough to support us through the difficulties. Old man Chen became more and more excited as he spoke, as if he had already seen the day when the Chen family would return to its peak. However, at this moment, his cell phone suddenly rang. After answering the call, the other party's voice was hurried and anxious. "Master, it's bad. Chen's Ocean Shipping Company has declared bankruptcy." This sentence was like a bolt from the blue, and it stunned Mr. Chun. His lips trembled, and he couldn't speak for a long time, and the phone in his hand fell to the ground. The Chun family members who were full of confidence just now were stunned in an instant, dumbfounded, and couldn't even believe their ears. The foundation that Mr. Chun was proud of actually collapsed overnight. D-167 Dong, the Chun family regrets. Old Master Chen's face instantly turned red, and he pressed the phone with trembling fingers. "Say it again. Chen's Ocean Shipping Company has gone bankrupt." His voice was filled with unconcealed anger and despair. The employee on the other end of the phone was full of helplessness and explained the whole story in a low voice, but every word was like a knife stabbing Mr. Chen's heart. The phone slipped from his hand with a snap and fell to the ground. Old man Chen sat stiffly in the chair, his face as pale as paper, and he seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. "It's over. Our Chun family is completely finished." He sighed, his voice so low that only he could hear it. The Chun family members who were standing nearby were in an uproar, unable to believe the sad news. How is this possible? Chen's Ocean Shipping Company was developing well. How come it suddenly went bankrupt? Chun Faming was shocked. "Yes, we have no grudge against Jingming Ocean Group. Why would they attack us?" Others were also puzzled. Old Master Chen took a deep breath, managed to calm down, and slowly said, "It was Jingming Ocean Shipping Group that did it. They are much stronger than us. Chen Ocean Shipping Company has no power to resist at all." "Jingming Ocean Group?" Chun Faming frowned. "Why would they kill us for no reason?" At this moment, Chen Yuzhen said hesitantly, "Father, I heard that Chun Fan is the major shareholder of Jingming Ocean Group." "What?" Old Master Chen suddenly stood up from his chair, his eyes wide open, and then he grabbed a piece of official kiln porcelain worth millions beside him and threw it to the ground, shattering it instantly. It turned out to be that little bastard Chun Fan. Old Master Chen's face was twisted with anger. He has actually descended to this point and actually used Jingming Ocean Group to deal with us. Everyone in the Chen family looked at each other in shock. Chun Fan, who was once expelled from the family, could become a major shareholder of Jingming Ocean Group in a short period of time, and also cause the Chen family's businesses that they were proud of to be destroyed one after another. Just as everyone was in a state of confusion, Chen Jinping could not help but whisper, "Father, was it a mistake for us to exclude Chen Fan and sever our relationship with him?" As soon as he finished speaking, Mr. Chen flew into a rage and slapped Chen Jinping hard on the face. "Shut up. How dare you say such things at a time like this? Go to the ancestral hall and kneel down as punishment." Chun Jinping covered his face, sighed, lowered his head, and left. Old Master Chen looked around and said sternly, "From today on, anyone who dares to talk about reconciliation with Chun Fan will no longer be a member of my Chun family." Everyone was so frightened by this sentence that they dared not breathe and kept their heads down in silence. After a moment of silence, Mr. Chen's eyes fell on his most beloved grandson, Chun Faming, with a gleam of light in his eyes. "Faming, go find your girlfriend Chi Rulin and ask the Chi family to help us. Although the Chi family is not as good as the Su family, they are much stronger than us. With them helping, Chun Fan has nothing to fear." Chun Faming nodded confidently. "Grandpa, don't worry, I will definitely convince Rulin to help." On the other hand, Chun Fan has returned to his software company. As soon as I entered the company, the person in charge, Tang Xinghai, came up to me in a hurry and said, "Boss, something happened. The company has encountered a difficult problem." Chun Fan frowned slightly and asked calmly, "What's the problem?" Chapter 168. "Boss, the company's space is running out." Tang Xinghai hurriedly reported to Chen Fan. He mentioned that with the expansion of the company's team, especially the influx of technical talent successfully poached by Tinya Headhunting Company, the office area has become extremely narrow. The The two companies are squeezed together, which has affected the work efficiency and daily cooperation of employees. Chen Fan nodded slightly. He had noticed this problem a long time ago. At this moment, the system's voice suddenly came. Ding! Task released. Find a suitable office location for the software company. Task time. Within 3 hours. Task reward. Top-level painting skills, including sketching, Chinese painting, oil painting, etc. Task reward. 143 experience points. Interesting. Even this can trigger a task. Chun Fan's mind moved. The reward this time turned out to be top-level painting ability, which would not only allow him to add another top skill to his piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting, but would also greatly increase Ruo Shui's mother's favorability towards him. He immediately gave an order. Tang Xinghai, go investigate and see if there is a suitable office building in Jiangzhou. Boss, I have prepared several plans in advance. Tang Xinghai was extremely efficient and immediately handed over a stack of office building information. Chen Fan flipped through a few pages and pointed to a Grade A office building with an excellent location and complete facilities. This is the one. Let's go over and inspect it. Not long after, Chen Fan and his group drove to the office building. A middle-aged man wearing glasses was already waiting at the door. Hello, Mr. Chun. I am the full-power representative of the owner of this office building. Please follow me. The man with glasses was very polite. He led the way and introduced. Our office building is of Grade A standard, with a total of 28 floors. Each floor is about 2,000 square meters, and the rent is 2 yuan per square meter per day, which means the rent for one floor is about 1.44 million yuan. If Mr. Chen is interested, we can discuss a discount. Chen Fan glanced around casually and nodded, quite satisfied with the environment here. The man with glasses continued to ask tentatively, Mr. Chun, which floor do you plan to rent? Chen Fan replied calmly, all. What? The man with glasses was stunned. Their office building has 28 floors, and there are only a handful of customers who rent the entire building. Mr. Chun, if you rent the whole building, we can give you another discount. The man with glasses quickly expressed his opinion, fearing that he would miss out on this big order. Chen Fan waved his hand and said calmly, renting is too troublesome. I want to buy this office building. The man with glasses was completely dumbfounded after hearing this. He was stunned for a few seconds before he reacted. He quickly said, Mr. Chun, I can't make the decision on this matter. I will contact the boss immediately. 10 minutes later, the boss of the office building came and saw Chen Fan with a skeptical attitude. He tentatively offered a price. The market value of this office building is 1 billion, but if you pay in full, I can give you a discount. How about 900 million? 900 million, not expensive. Chen Fan took out his checkbook without hesitation, wrote a check for 900 million yuan on the spot, and handed it to the other party. Here is the money. From now on, this office building is mine. The office boss took the check. His fingers were shaking, his eyes were fixed on the string of zeros, and he was speechless for a long time. Okay, Mr. Chun, this office building is yours now. The office building owner nodded repeatedly, and then took Chen Fan to complete the signing and handover. Just as Chen Fan put down his pen, the system's voice sounded again. Chapter 169. As soon as the system prompt sounded, Chen Fan felt a large amount of information flooding into his mind. Bye. Find a suitable office location for the software company. Mission accomplished. Congratulations on obtaining top-level painting skills, including sketching, Chinese painting, oil painting, etc. Congratulations on obtaining 143 experience points. A few minutes later, he had completely mastered top-level painting skills. From sketching to Chinese painting, and then to oil painting, Chen Fan had reached the master level. So far, he had mastered 3 of the Qin, chess, calligraphy, and painting skills, and only the last one, Qin, was missing. He couldn't help but look forward to the system, giving him more rewards related to top-level musical instruments. After the contract was signed, the former boss of the office building left. Chen Fan told Tang Xinghai, contact the moving company immediately and make sure the relocation is completed within 3 days. All departments must be officially operational as soon as possible. Understood, boss. Tang Xinghai responded decisively, turned around, and began to arrange the work. At the same time, at Xia Ruoshui's home, Xia Mingming had just returned to the villa after class and found that her sister was not there. So she called her. Sister, are you going to the company again? You are busy with work every day. Why do you work so hard? Xia Mingming's tone was a little puzzled. She has always been a person who enjoys life and doesn't understand why her sister works so hard. Xiaohua Shui's voice on the other end of the phone was firm. I must give it a try this time. The year-end assessment is coming soon. I must get good results and strive to enter the more important industry of the family. What? Sister, didn't you have no interest in the family's core industry before? Why did you suddenly change your mind? Xiao Mingming asked puzzledly. Because of Chun Fan. Xiao Ruoshui spoke word by word, with unshakable determination in her tone. As Chun Fan's girlfriend, Xiao Ruoshui knew that Chun Fan was facing double pressure from the Chun family and the Jinling Su family. Although Chun Fan was strong enough, a behemoth like the Jinling Su family was still not something that could be easily shaken. In order to help Chun Fan, she must gain a higher status and power in the Xia family so that she can mobilize more resources to help Chun Fan. Sister, you are really a good wife to Chun Fan. Xia Mingming said half-jokingly. Grandma was right. She said you were a lucky charm for her husband. Stop talking nonsense and stay with your mother. I still have a lot of things to do. After hanging up the phone, Xia Mingming returned to the villa, while Xiaoruashe continued to be busy with company affairs. On the other side, Chen Fan's phone rang. The caller ID showed it was Chen Wenjing, his insider in the Chen family. Cousin, I have some news for you. Mr. Chun has realized that the Chun family alone cannot deal with you. He now wants Chun Faming to find his girlfriend and ask for help from the Jiangbei Qi family. Qi family? Chun Fan raised his eyebrows and sneered. No matter who they find, they can't save the Chun family. Cousin, the Qi family is not an ordinary family. They are very powerful. You should be more careful. Chun Wenjing reminded. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Chen Fan nodded. After hanging up the phone, he hadn't walked far when he received another message. Xiang Lao invited him to have tea and talk about some recent things. Chun Fan's eyes lit up. This is a good opportunity to find out more about the Qi family. More than 20 minutes later, Chun Fan arrived at Xiang Lao's home and walked into the study room under the guidance of the servant. At this time, Xiang Lao and several guests were discussing a calligraphy work enthusiastically. Mr. Chun is here. Come and take a look at this calligraphy. Xiang Lao smiled and called Chun Fan over and asked specifically, Mr. Chun also knows calligraphy, right? I know a thing or two. Chun Fan nodded and walked forward to take a closer look at the work. The handwriting is just so. Chun Fan commented casually. As soon as these words came out, the faces of several onlookers changed drastically. One of them, a man in his 50s with long hair, slammed the table and said, What did you say? He pointed at Chen Fan, his eyes full of anger. How dare you say my handwriting is sloppy? Do you know calligraphy? Do you know who I am? Chapter 170. What is your identity? Does it have anything to do with my evaluation of you? Chun Fan asked back slowly, with a calm expression. The long-haired man sneered. Ha, of course it matters. Do you know who I am? A man nearby immediately stood up to support the long-haired man. Young man, you'd better understand the situation. Mr. Sun is a formal member of the Daxia Calligraphers Association and a famous calligrapher. How dare you say his calligraphy is that you are so ignorant? Hearing this, the onlookers exclaimed in amazement. Membership in the Daxia Calligraphers Association is not something that can be obtained casually. To become a member means one is already a top figure in the calligraphy world. The Daxia Calligraphers Association is quite famous. Chun Fan raised his lips to smile faintly. However, it's a pity that reputation doesn't represent strength. In today's calligraphy world, masters are wandering around, clowns are in the halls. Isn't this a common phenomenon? This sentence made the people around him fall into silence. They had to admit that Chun Fan had hit the nail on the head about the current chaos in the calligraphy world. The long-haired man's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. You are quite good at talking. Since you said my handwriting is sloppy, then why don't you tell me what's wrong with it? Chun Fan walked to the desk calmly, pointed at the long-haired man's work and said, You wrote a passage from this sacrificial essay to my nephew, and there are many problems. For example, the word Ming has a messy structure, impetuous brushwork, and lacks strength. And the word Huai has a stiff shape and no sense of flow. Chun Fan spoke eloquently, pointing out several issues in one breath, with clear logic and getting straight to the point. The onlookers nodded repeatedly, thinking that what Chun Fan said made a lot of sense. On the other hand, the long-haired man's face turned pale and blue, and it was obvious that he had been hit in the soft spot. What's the point of just talking? If you have the ability, write one and let us see your level. The long-haired man gritted his teeth and said, obviously unconvinced. Someone next to him immediately echoed. That's right, everyone can talk. The real skill still depends on the writing. As soon as he finished speaking, the system's voice came from Chun Fan's mind. Ding! Mission released. Write a piece of calligraphy yourself, and use practical actions to let everyone understand what real calligraphy is. Mission reward: 8% of Patek Philippe's shares. Mission time: within 1 hour. Chun Fan smiled slightly. Without saying much, he walked directly to the desk, changed the rice paper, picked up the brush, and began to paint. The pen moves like a dragon and snake, and the momentum is like a rainbow. A smooth and flowing running script work is completed quickly, and every word is full of power and agility. Please appreciate it. Chun Fan put down the brush and pushed the work in front of everyone. The onlookers came forward one after another, and when they saw Chun Fan's calligraphy, they were all stunned. The handwriting was vigorous and powerful, and the rhythm was coherent. Every stroke was smooth and free, which could be called a wonderful work. The long-haired man stared at Chun Fan's work again and again, his expression becoming increasingly grim. He tried to find a problem, but no matter how he looked at it, the calligraphy was flawless. Mr. Chun is so promising at such a young age. I admire him. Xiang. Lao spoke first, his tone full of praise. He looked at Chun Fan with sharp eyes, obviously impressed by his talent. The long-haired man gritted his teeth and finally bowed his head in acknowledgement of defeat. I apologize for the offense I just caused. I was too arrogant. Then he added, Mr. Chen's calligraphy has reached the highest level and can definitely be compared with the top calligraphers of the Daxia Calligraphers Association. These words made other people around him apologize to Chun Fan one after another, and their attitude was much more respectful than before. Ding! Mission accomplished. Congratulations on obtaining 8 of Patek Philippe's shares. Current shareholding ratio, 45. Chen Fan was delighted when he heard the system prompt. He was only 5 away from completely controlling Patek Philippe. His goal was within reach. The long-haired man and the others felt ashamed and found an excuse to leave in a hurry. Xiang Lao warmly invited Chun Fan to sit down and personally made a pot of tea for him. Mr. Chun, are you here to ask me something this time? Mr. Xiang asked with a smile. I do have something I want to ask you, Chen Fan said bluntly. How much do you know about the Jiangzhou chief family? Upon hearing this, Mr. Xiang's expression immediately became serious. Chief family in Jiangzhou? Did Mr. Chun have a conflict with the chief family? Not yet, but soon. Chen Fan replied calmly. Elder Xiang frowned and said solemnly, Mr. Chun, the chief family is not an ordinary family. Their methods are extremely complicated. If you want to deal with them, you must be careful. What is the situation with the chief family? Chun Fan continued to ask. Xiang Lao thought for a moment and began to speak. The chief family is very special in the circle of wealthy families. They. Chapter 171. A very special existence. How special is it? Chun Fan became more interested in Xiang Lao's words, and there was a hint of inquiry in his eyes. Elder Xiang sighed and said slowly, Mr. Chun, the chief family is different from ordinary wealthy families. Their current head of the family is not only from a collateral family, but also a woman. Female? Side branch. Chun Fan raised his eyebrows slightly, obviously a little surprised. As a former member of a wealthy family, he knew very well that in the traditional rules of wealthy families, women and side branches had almost no chance of becoming the head of the family. But the chief family broke this unspoken rule. The chief family has a unique system for selecting the head of the family. They do not consider gender or whether they are from the direct or collateral lineage. As long as you are a member of the chief family, you can participate in the competition. As long as you get the support of more than 2/3 of the chief family senior leaders, you can become the head of the family. In fact, if you can get more than 80% of the support, you can even remove the current head of the family. After listening to this, Chen Fan couldn't help but sigh. The rules of the chief family are quite groundbreaking. No wonder they have risen to become a big family in Jiangzhou in a short period of time. Xiang nodded and continued. It is precisely because of this mechanism that every head of the chief family is extremely capable, which is one of the reasons for the rapid development of the chief family. But this system also brings great disadvantages. Chun Fan showed a hint of curiosity. What are the disadvantages? The internal struggle of the chief family is extremely brutal, especially since the current head of the family is from a side branch. She vigorously supported the side branch after taking office, which intensified the dissatisfaction of the main branch. Now the chief family is almost on the verge of a fight, and the degree of struggle is even more intense than the external business competition. So, The Qi family is more like a large company where power is supreme rather than a traditional family. Chen Fan said thoughtfully. Xiang Lao nodded. That's right. If Mr. Chen has conflicts with the Qi family in the future, you might consider taking advantage of their internal conflicts. Hearing this, Chen Fan instantly understood what Xiang Lao was hinting at. The Qi family had already been divided internally, and if he could find a suitable entry point, he could easily use the opponent's strength to defeat them. Thank you, Mr. Xiang, for the reminder. Chen Fan said with some sincerity in his tone. Ha, Mr. Chen, we're just chatting over tea. No need to thank me. Old Xiang laughed, obviously not wanting to get too involved in the Qi family's disputes. In the evening, as soon as Chen Fan returned to the villa, he received an important message from Chen Wenjing. Cousin, I found a key piece of information. Chun Faming's girlfriend Qi Cici is the daughter of the current head of the Qi family. Chun Fan murmured thoughtfully. Qi Cici, the daughter of the current head of the Qi family? It seems that the Chun family is cooperating with the Qi family side branch. After learning this, Chun Fan immediately came up with a plan. The direct line of the Qi family must be dissatisfied with the collateral line controlling the position of the head of the family. If he could cooperate with the direct line, he could completely disrupt the internal situation of the Qi family, making them unable to take care of themselves, thus resolving the Chun family's plot. He sneered and shook his head. Mr. Chen wants to use the Qi family to pressure me. I'm afraid he has to think of other ways. At the same time, Zhu Lingyu had just finished a day's work and returned home, but unexpectedly saw a familiar figure. Wen. Zhu Lingyu looked at the slender woman in front of her excitedly. She had a slender figure, an extraordinary temperament. She was her best friend Qi Wenwen from Jiangzhou University. Lingyu, long time no see. Qi Wenwen came up to him with a smile, and the two held each other's hands tightly. Zhu Lingyu said happily, Why did you come here suddenly? You didn't tell me before. I missed you, and came to see how you were doing. Qi Wenwen said with a smile, but there was another meaning hidden in her words that she didn't make clear. During dinner, the two chatted about many interesting things in college, and the atmosphere was relaxed and happy. However, at night, Qi Wenwen suddenly said seriously, Lingyu, come and help me. Help you? Zhu Lingyu looked confused. Qi Wenwen nodded. I recently took over part of the family business and encountered some troubles. I can't handle it alone. You are the person I trust the most. Come and help me. When the time comes, I will be the president and you will be the general manager. Together, we sisters will definitely be able to get things done. Zhu Lingyu was slightly stunned, then smiled and shook her head. Wenwen, it's too late. I'm now interning at Fading Group, and my boss is very nice to me. I'm really sorry. Qi Wenwen frowned, still unwilling to give in. Lingyu's salary is not a problem. I promise to give you 10 times your current salary. Zhu Lingyu still shook his head firmly. Thank you, but I have already promised my boss and I can't break my promise. Seeing her best friend's firm attitude, Qi Wenwen didn't want to force it anymore, so she changed the subject. However, she already had another plan in mind. If she couldn't convince Zhu Lingyu, she would talk to her boss directly and ask him to fire Zhu Lingyu. As long as I come forward in the name of the Qi family's direct lineage, he should at least give me this face. Qi Wenwen thought to herself, with a confident smile slightly raised at the corner of her mouth. The next morning, Qi Wenwen left Zhu's house and went directly to Fading Group, ready to meet Chen Fan. Chapter 172. Chen Fan asked in a calm but meaningful tone, Miss Qi, are you really willing to submit to the control of the side branch of the Qi family? Qi Wenwen frowned, with a hint of anger in her eyes, obviously being poked in the sore spot by Chen Fan. The direct line of the Qi family has always been very self-righteous, but now it is suppressed by the sideline, so she is naturally unwilling to accept it. What do you want to say? Qi Wenwen's tone was slightly cold, but there was a hint of uneasiness in her voice. Chen Fan picked up the teacup slowly and took a sip. In fact, you don't have to swallow your anger. You know, real wealthy families always value strength, not family rules. If some people in the Qi family want to regain control of the situation, I may be able to provide some help. Help? Qi Wenwen stared at Chen Fan with a little suspicion, with a hint of scrutiny in her eyes. Chen Fan smiled faintly. Zhu Lingyu is my recognized right-hand man. I will not let her leave easily. But I'm more curious about how ambitious your Qi family is. If you are willing to cooperate with me, maybe the situation of the Qi family can change faster. Cooperation? Qi Wenwen was shocked. Although she didn't know much about Chen Fan, he was obviously not a simple person to rise quickly in Jiangzhou and become the helmsman of a billion-dollar enterprise. Moreover, his words, "the chief family is the world of the collateral branch," were undoubtedly provoking her sensitive nerves. "Mr. Chun, are you trying to profit from the internal conflicts in my chief family?" Chi Wenwen sneered, but her tone was not as sharp as before. "How could that be? I have absolutely no interest in interfering in the affairs of the Chi family. However, if you need it, I can provide some resources to help your direct lineage rise again." Chun Fan's eyes were firm, and his tone revealed an irresistible power. Chi Wenwen was silent. She knew that every word Chen Fan said hit the nail on the head. The Chi family's direct line was indeed unwilling to be suppressed by the collateral line. But if they wanted to regain control of the situation, their strength alone was obviously not enough. If someone like Chun Fan joined, perhaps they could really change the current situation of the Chi family. "Mr. Chun, your words force me to reevaluate you." Chi Wenwen put down her chopsticks, and her tone finally softened. "However, I need some time to think about it. After all, this is not something I can decide alone." Chun Fan smiled slightly. "Miss Chi, you can take your time to think about it. However, you'd better be quick. After all, the opportunity is fleeting." After the dinner, Chi Wenwen left the restaurant, but Chun Fan's words kept lingering in her mind. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the Chun family was high. Old Master Chun was very excited to learn that the Chi family was willing to help. After talking to Chi Yinying, he directly ordered the servants to prepare a family banquet and prepare for a grand celebration. "Grandpa, the Chi family is willing to send their trusted aides to assist us. As long as they take action, that little beast Chen Fan won't be able to make any waves." Chun Faming's face was full of pride, and he felt that his efforts had finally given the family hope again. Old Master Chun patted his grandson's shoulder with satisfaction. "Faming, you have done a great job this time. Don't worry, with the support of the Chi family, our Chun family will definitely be able to stand on top again." However, no one noticed that Chun Wenjing was standing silently by the side, watching everything. That night, Chun Wenjing quietly called Chun Fan and told him everything about the Chun family's latest developments. "Cousin, the Chi family's confidants will arrive in Jiangzhou soon, so you have to be careful." Chun Fan chuckled. "It's okay. It may not be a bad thing for the Chi family to send their trusted aides to Jiangzhou. Maybe I can use them to complete my plan." "Plan? What are you going to do?" Chun Wenjing was full of curiosity. Seeing Chi Wenwen took the bait, Chun Fan set a trap again. Chapter 173. If you suddenly have a huge project in your hands, do you think that traitor will be unable to control himself? Chun Fan leaned back in his chair, his tone firm, with a calculating gleam in his eyes. Chi Wenwen's eyes lit up after hearing this, but she hesitated again. "This method sounds good, but we don't have such a big project to lure the snake out of its hole." "If there is no project, why not just build one?" Chun Fan said lightly, his tone full of confidence. "Make one." Chi Wenwen was a little confused for a moment, obviously not expecting it to be possible to do it this way. "Of course," Chun Fan continued. "This project only needs to look attractive enough to make the traitor feel it is worthwhile. As for authenticity, it is not the point." Chi Wenwen pondered for a moment, and her eyes gradually brightened. "This idea is indeed interesting. If we can design a big project and use some fake documents as a prelude, the traitor will definitely be exposed." "Not only that," Chun Fan continued, "the design of the project needs to be combined with the actual situation of your company. It is best to lock in specific responsible people and make it more targeted. As long as this plan is implemented properly, the traitor will definitely be exposed." Chi Wenwen was completely convinced by Chun Fan's idea and nodded excitedly. "Okay, when do we start?" "The sooner the better. There is no time to lose." Chun Fan stood up with a hint of command in his tone. "Go back and gather all the senior executives of your company and announce this fake project to them. But remember, don't let anyone see the flaw." Chi Wenwen was slightly stunned. "Do you need me to do it myself?" "Of course." Chun Fan smiled. "You're the person in charge of this industry. Only if you arrange it yourself can the whole plan appear real and credible." After hearing this, Chi Wenwen was finally completely relieved and had more trust in Chun Fan's abilities. "Okay, then let's do as you say." That night, Chi Wenwen called all the senior executives of her company and solemnly announced a big project at the meeting. The scale of this project was huge, involving billions of dollars, and there were many exclusive resources that needed to be negotiated in advance. After the meeting, Chi Wenwen distributed some key documents to several executives according to Chun Fan's plan, including the traitor she suspected of having problems. At the same time, Chen Fan arranged people to secretly monitor the progress of the entire incident. The next morning, Chen Fan received a message from Qi Wenwen. Mr. Chun, someone has indeed leaked the core information of the project. Qi Wenwen's tone was mixed with excitement and a hint of anger. As soon as the news got out, the other party immediately took action. Chen Fan smiled and said, "See, I told you it's very simple. What should we do next?" Qi Wenwen asked impatiently. "Don't worry, this is just the first step," Chun Fan said calmly. "Next, you need to pretend you don't know and continue to push forward this fake project. You can even let more information leak out accidentally. In this way, we can accurately identify the traitor." After hearing this, Qi Wenwen nodded repeatedly and was completely convinced by Chun Fan's plan. The next evening, things progressed further. Qi Wenwen deliberately released more false information to the suspected target, and soon the other party began to contact outsiders, while Chen Fan's people had already secretly tracked and recorded all the actions. On the morning of the third day, the identity of the traitor was finally confirmed. Qi Wenwen took the evidence provided by Chun Fan, convened a meeting of the company's top management, announced the results on the spot, and directly handed the traitor over to the legal department for handling. "Mr. Chun, thank you so much." After the meeting, Qi Wenwen called Chun Fan with deep gratitude in her tone. "If it weren't for you, I might not have been able to find this traitor at all." Chun Fan chuckled. "It's just a piece of cake, but your elders should have known about this, right?" Qi Wenwen was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized, "Yes, I will contact them now." Chun Fan smiled slightly. "Didn't you just say that the company's secrets were leaked and a lot of business was taken away? This means that the main goal of the spy hiding in your company is to steal your business. If you suddenly had a huge project, do you think the spy would take action?" At the same time, a familiar system prompt sounded in Chun Fan's mind. Ding! Mission completed. Show your strength, solve the problems of Qi Wenwen's company, and let the people of the Qi family come to meet you. Congratulations on obtaining 10% of Patek Philippe shares, current shareholding ratio, 55%. Congratulations on obtaining 145 experience points. Hearing the system's prompt, Chen Fan smiled. The control of Patek Philippe was finally in his hands. Next, it is time for the direct descendants of the Qi family to take the initiative to seek cooperation. Chapter 174, Severing Relations. Day 36. Reward. 10 buildings. As long as he takes action, things will be much easier. Qi Wenwen nodded, thinking that what Chen Fan said made sense. However, if the opponent makes a larger move, we may be able to detect it quickly. But if it is just a small movement and then hides again, we may not be able to find it immediately, right? Qi Wenwen told Chen Fan about her concerns. "That's easy. Then we just let him move." Chen Fan shrugged. Qi Wenwen didn't understand what Chen Fan said for a moment. "If your company has a super large order right now, with a profit of billions, do you think the other party will make a big move?" Chen Fan asked back. In an instant, Qi Wenwen understood. If this happens, Mr. Chen's fading group will be in trouble. Qi Wenwen shook her head. "I never intended to use my fading group to carry out the plan." Chen Fan spoke. "Judging from Qi Wenwen's tone, this traitor is very likely related to the Qi family's side branch. If that's the case, Chen Fan can no longer take action with the industries under his name. In that case, it is very likely that the Qi family side branches will guess that this is a trap designed by Chen Fan, and they will not fall for it. Now, we need a company that has no apparent relationship with me and needs to cooperate with us from a large company. Otherwise, there won't be such high benefits." Chen Fan fell in a deep thought. 2 minutes later, Chen Fan's eyes lit up, and he had a suitable choice. Thinking about this, Chen Fan directly made a phone call. "Boss, why did you call me suddenly?" On the other side of the phone, a young man asked excitedly. This young man was none other than the younger brother that Chen Fan had accepted before, the top young master in Zhonghai province, and the prince of the Yuan group, a large group in Zhonghai province, Yuan Anping. Not many people knew that Yuan Anping was his younger brother. The Yuan group, where Yuan Anping worked, was the most suitable choice. First of all, on the surface, the Yuan group has nothing to do with him, and its headquarters is not in Jiangzhou. Secondly, the Yuan group is large enough, and it has a large order with considerable profits, which is also within a reasonable range. Chen Fan briefly talked to Yuan Anping. "I understand, boss. I'll go talk to my father right now. Don't worry, I'll take care of this matter." Yuan Anping patted his chest and made the promise. "Boss, just wait for my good news." After hanging up the phone, Yuan Anping went to his father, the chairman of Yuan Group, for help. A few minutes later, Chen Fan received a reply. "Boss, my father has agreed to cooperate with you, but he has to go to Jiangzhou for something in a while. When he does, he wants to visit you with gifts. I hope you can agree." Yuan Onping spoke. "Visit me, little things?" Chen Fan nodded. Even if this incident had not happened, Chen Fan would definitely welcome Yuan Onping's father if he came to visit politely with gifts. "Thank you, boss." After hanging up the phone, Chen Fan looked at Qi Wenwen. "It's settled. Someone from a big company will contact you in a while. You two can pretend to cooperate and put on a show to lure out the spy." "Nailed it." Qi Wenwen next to him was surprised that Chen Fan had done it so quickly. "What kind of company is that big company you're talking about?" Qi Wenwen asked curiously. "Yuan Group in Zhonghai Province." Chen Fan answered calmly. "What did you say?" "It's the Yuan Group in Zhonghai Province." Qi Wenwen was shocked and instantly lost her composure. She knew about the Yuan Group, a giant in Zhonghai Province with great strength. But now, Chen Fan made a phone call and waited for only a few minutes, and the matter was settled. This is too unbelievable. Is Chen Fan's network of contacts so terrifying that even the prestigious Yuan Group is willing to cooperate with Chen Fan? Qi Wenwen was filled with emotion. At this moment, she suddenly felt that perhaps what Chen Fan said, that he could help them regain the position of head of the family, might be true. The more Qi Wenwen thought about it, the more shocked she felt. After all, Chen Fan was too young. A few minutes later, Qi Wenwen received a call. It was indeed from Yuan Group. Qi Wenwen immediately discussed the details with the people from Yuan Group. Next to him, Chen Fan was eating leisurely. Bite. On the 36th day of severing the relationship, 10 buildings will be awarded. The 10 buildings are located in high-end residential areas, and the total value of each building is approximately 400 million to 400 million. Please go to the relevant department to collect the property certificate. The system has processed all the procedures and documents. Huh. Rewarded myself with 10 buildings? There are 10 residential buildings located in a high-end residential area. Each building is worth more than 400 million yuan. The total value of all 10 buildings is more than 4 billion yuan. Another 4 billion yuan was obtained. A smile appeared on Chen Fan's face. It felt great to earn billions every day. From now on, I will be the landlord. It's just that you need to go to the relevant department to get the property certificate yourself, which is a bit troublesome. You see, it's not easy to be a rich man. Do you think being a rich man is cool and happy? No, no, no. Being a rich person is very, very cool and very, very happy. You can't even imagine the simple and unpretentious life of the rich. We have almost finished discussing the plan. We will just have to wait for an hour before the Yuan Group officially takes action. Thank you, Qi Wenwen said gratefully. I see you exercise regularly, right? Looking at Qi Wenwen, Chen Fan suddenly asked. That's natural. Qi Wenwen raised her arms with great pride, showing off her muscles to Chen Fan. Then you must be very strong. It's just right. You can do me a favor. Chen Fan spoke. Help you what? Qi Wenwen asked in confusion. Help me move some stuff. Chen Fan spoke. The property certificates for 10 buildings are definitely a huge pile, and it would be tiring to get them by yourself. Qi Wenwen works out regularly and shows off her muscles. There is no need to waste such a good laborer. What? You want me to do hard labor and move things for you? Hearing Chen Fan say this, Qi Wenwen was speechless. Who is she? She is a direct descendant of the Jiangbei Qi family, such a noble status. But now Chen Fan asked her to move things and do hard labor. Damn it. However, Chen Fangang had just helped her, so Qi Wenwen couldn't refuse, so she had to agree reluctantly. She wanted to see what exactly Chen Fan was going to move, and why Chen Fan, the boss, had to go there in person, while she, a direct descendant of the Qi family, had to be the coolie. She just couldn't believe it. Chen Fan could take her with him to move the gold bars? After dinner, Chen Fan took the coolie Qi Wenwen to move things. Chapter 175, The Pile of Property Certificates. Qi Wenwen was shocked. More than 40 minutes later, when the two arrived at their destination, Qi Wenwen was stunned. Housing authority? Why did you bring me here? Aren't you going to move something? Qi Wenwen asked in great confusion. Isn't this the place to apply for the property certificate? What can be moved here? The property certificate? What a joke! The real estate certificate is such a small booklet, so light. Even if there are dozens of them, one person can carry them easily. Is there any need to move it? Mr. Chun, what exactly are you going to move? Qi Wenwen didn't know what Chen Fan was doing. Come along, and you'll find out. Chen Fan responded softly, then got out of the car first and walked towards the housing authority. Qi Wenwen followed with a hint of curiosity and a hint of complaint. After arriving at the housing authority, Chen Fan explained his identity to the staff and showed his ID card. The staff immediately led Chen Fan to a closed office. Sir, your property certificates are in here. The staff said. Real estate certificate. Did Chen Fan really ask me to move the property ownership certificate? Isn't it just a mere property certificate? Is it necessary for me to move in? Chi Wen looked helpless. However, when the staff opened the tightly closed office door and saw the scene in Lima, Chi Wen was stunned. At this moment, what caught her eyes was a mountain of real estate certificates piled up into a small hill. For a moment, even she, a direct descendant of the Chi family, was stunned. There are so many property certificates, probably at least several hundred of them. Aren't they all Chen fans? No way, no way. Chi Wenwen shook her head subconsciously. She didn't believe that Chen Fan alone could own so many real estate certificates. What she never expected was that she had just denied it in her heart. But the staff's next words slapped her in the face. Mr. Chun, your 1,130 property certificates are all here. Please count them. The staff looked at Chen Fan. Chi Wenwen's face was full of disbelief. There are actually more than 1,100 real estate certificates here, which is more than the several hundred real estate certificates I had guessed. What's even more outrageous is that these more than 1,000 property certificates all belong to Chen Fan alone. This means that Chen Fan alone owns more than 1,000 houses. What the hell? What the hell? Chi Wenwen was extremely horrified. Good. Chen Fan nodded slightly. There were about 100 households in each of the 10 buildings, but the house types and areas of the buildings were different, so there were a total of 1,130 property certificates. In fact, if it is an ordinary house in Jiangzhou, there are probably 2,000 to 3,000 property certificates for 10 buildings, which is even more terrifying. However, this time the system rewards our 10 buildings in Jiangzhou's high-end residential area, where the housing prices are almost 2 or 3 times the ordinary housing prices, so there are only more than 1,000 copies. But this is already very exaggerated. Beside her, Chi Wenwen's eyes almost popped out. Mr. Chun, what you want me to move is this pile of property certificates. Chi Wenwen looked at Chun Fan with a shocked tone. Yes. Chun Fan nodded. Gurgle, gurgle. Chi Wenwen swallowed hard a few times. Until this moment, she still couldn't quite believe that this was true. So she pinched her long legs hard, and when she felt the pain, she finally believed that she was not dreaming. For a moment, Chi Wenwen felt extremely complicated. At the beginning, she even laughed at herself, thinking that Chen Fan would not take her to move the gold bars. If that was the case, she would still be willing to move them. But now, she was told that what Chen Fan wanted to move was the property certificate, which was much more valuable than gold bars. The price of gold is several hundred yuan per gram. A gold bar, even a larger one weighing 1 kilogram, would only cost a few 100,000 yuan. And a house is worth at least 1 million, or even tens of millions. You start from the left, I'll start from the right. Let's count. Chen Fan said to Chi Wenwen. Good. Chi Wenwen agreed foolishly. Chi Wenwen came to the left and started counting them one by one. The more she counted, the more dazed Chi Wenwen looked. She felt like she was counting cabbages rather than real estate certificates. More than 1,000 property certificates. Chen Fan bought more than 1,000 houses in one go. Are those houses bought by Chen Fan? Why do they look so much like cabbages? Finally, Chi Wenwen couldn't stand it anymore and asked Chen Fan curiously. Mr. Chen, how much did you spend to buy these more than 1,000 houses? Chen Fan answered casually. About 40 to 50 billion. 4 or 5 billion grunts. Chi Wenwen swallowed again. Spending 4 or 5 billion in one go to buy thousands of houses. What an inhumane act. In an instant, Chi Wenwen realized that Chen Fan was definitely not as simple as she had imagined. After all, being able to pay out billions in one go to buy a house was something that many wealthy people could not do. After the two of them counted at once and confirmed that there was no problem, they began to move the property certificate out. At this moment, Chi Wenwen no longer complained, but was rather excited. She was not doing hard labor at all. She was clearly moving boxes of money. The trunk of a supercar is usually located in the front of the car, so it is also called the front trunk. However, the space in the front trunk of a supercar is generally very small. There were some other things in the trunk of Chun Fan's supercar, so only half of the property certificate was placed there, and the remaining half was placed in Chi Wenwen's car. This is also one of the reasons why Chun Fan asked Chi Wenwen to be the coolie. After moving thousands of property certificates into the car, Chun Fan led the way. The two came to the garage of Chun Fan's villa and placed the thousands of property certificates in Chun Fan's study. Chun Fan really needs to think carefully about where to store this huge pile of real estate certificates. Sometimes having too many houses and too much money can also be a kind of distress. It took more than 2 hours to count the property certificates, move them, and go back and forth. Chen Fan had just finished moving and was about to drink some water when he suddenly received a message from Guangyu Private Detective. Boss, there is news. Although Guangyu Private Detective's sphere of influence is in Zhonghai Province, he also has some manpower in Jiangzhou Province. After Chen Fan arranged for Yuan Group and Qi Wenwen to pretend to cooperate, Chen Fan ordered Guangyu Private Detective's people in Jiangzhou Province to start paying attention to the movements of all the senior executives of the industry in Qi Wenwen's hands. After all, only high-level officials can know this kind of top-secret information, so the traitor must be among the top leaders. Sure enough, just over 2 hours later, there was news. Chapter 176. Easily dig out the spy and take the initiative in negotiations with the Qi family. Boss, 3 senior executives have taken action, but we are still unsure which one or which ones are spies. We will continue to follow up and investigate. Once we have confirmed the news, we will inform you as soon as possible. The people from Guangyu Private Detective Agency reported to Chen Fan. Now they have greatly narrowed down the scope from the dozen or so senior executives of Qi Wenwen's company, but they still have to continue to follow up and investigate which one of the 3 people it is. After all, the time is too short. Good. Chen Fan nodded. After moving everything, Qi Wenwen left Chen Fan's villa. In the evening, when Zhu Lingyu came back from get-off work, Qi Wenwen asked Zhu Lingyu about Chen Fan's specific situation in a roundabout way. Yesterday, the first day, Qi Wenwen subconsciously treated Chen Fan as an ordinary boss and didn't pay much attention to him. But today, especially after moving those thousands of real estate certificates, Qi Wenwen realized that she was wrong, very wrong. Zhu Lingyu also discovered Qi Wenwen's intention. She thought about it and just replied that Mr. Chun was indeed extraordinary. Fading Group was just an inconspicuous company under Mr. Chen's name. Mr. Chen also had many more powerful industries. As for what these industries are, Zhu Lingyu did not say clearly. Although she and Wenwen are best friends, she is also Mr. Chen's employee. She doesn't know what Wenwen is going to do, and she can't say it clearly. Really? Zhu Lingyu's words indirectly verified Qi Wenwen's guess. Instantly, Chen Fan's position in Qi Wenwen's heart suddenly improved. The next time she saw Mr. Chun, she had to be very polite. Time flies, and the next morning, Chen Fan received a call from Guangyu Private Detective Agency. Boss, we have confirmed that the traitor in Qi Wenwen's company is their general manager, Sun Shuqiao. The people from Guangyu Private Detective Agency reported to Chen Fan. Just in case, we have taken Sun Shuqiao under control. Is it the general manager? Chen Fan muttered softly. The general manager is considered the second or third most important person in a company. It is no wonder that so many important secrets of Qi Wenwen were leaked when he holds such an important position. Boss, Sun Shuqiao wants to talk to you. The person from Guangyu Private Detective Agency spoke again. Can. 20 seconds later, a middle-aged woman's voice came from the phone. You should be the helper that Qi Wenwen found, right? Sun Shuqiao spoke. Yes. Chen Fan admitted it generously. Helping Qi Wenwen is your worst decision. The Qi family's direct lineage, to which Qi Wenwen belongs, has become increasingly rubbish. Now the head of the Qi family and several important positions are all held by people from the Qi family's side branches. If you help Qi Wenwen, you will be going against the current head of the Qi family and the Qi family's side branches, and you will not end well. Sun Shuqiao directly threatened Chen Fan. So, you are from the Qi family's side branch? Chen Fan asked directly. Right. At this point, Sun Shuqiao no longer pretended and admitted directly that she wanted to use the Qi family side branch and the head of the Qi family behind her to scare Chen Fan. If you let me go and pretend nothing happened, I can report it to the head of the family and ask him to let you go. Otherwise, you will become a thorn in the eyes of the head of the Qi family and the Qi family's side branches. Sun Shuqiao acted magnanimous and seemed willing to spare Chen Fan. Let me go. Tell the Qi family's head a message. If she chooses to cooperate with the Chun family, she will definitely lose. Chen Fan replied coldly and hung up the phone, asking the head of the Qi family to let her go. How ridiculous. She cooperated with the Chen family, and he didn't plan to let her go? Afterwards, Chen Fan contacted Qi Wenwen and asked the people from Guangyu Private Detective Agency to hand Sun Shuqiao over to Qi Wenwen. How to deal with Sun Shuqiao afterwards was up to Qi Wenwen. Found it. It's only been less than a day. Qi Wenwen was both surprised and astonished. She spent countless time and energy trying to find the traitor, but in the end, she found nothing. But when it came to Mr. Chun, it took less than a day to find the traitor. Mr. Chun is too strong. Thank you, Mr. Chun. Thank you so much. Chi Wenwen spoke, thanking Chen Fan on her own behalf. Mr. Chun, I will go back immediately and meet my father. I will ask him to come to Jiangzhou in person to meet Mr. Chun. Chi Wenwen spoke, and at this moment she represented the direct lineage of the Chi family. After what happened yesterday and today, Chi Wenwen has seen Chun Fan's terrifying financial resources, connections, and abilities. Chi Wenwen really believed that Chun Fan had the ability to help their Chi family regain the position of head of the family. As long as she told her father about the matter, her father would definitely be willing to come to Jiangzhou to meet Mr. Chen. As for how the two parties will cooperate in the future, we will have to meet and discuss in detail. Good. Chun Fan nodded. After hanging up the phone, Chi Wenwen went straight to Jiangzhou Airport. As Chi Wenwen took action, the system's voice came. Bye. Promise Chi Wenwen to solve the problem in her company, demonstrate strength. Let the Chi family come to see me, take the initiative in my own hands, mission accomplished. Congratulations on obtaining 10% of Patek Philippe shares, completely taking control of Patek Philippe. The share purchase contract has been placed in your study. Please check it. Congratulations on obtaining 145 experience points. Mission accomplished. 10% of Patek Philippe shares were acquired. In an instant, the shares of Patek Philippe owned by Chun Fan exceeded 50, reaching an astonishing 55. From this moment on, Chun Fan took absolute control of Patek Philippe. He has complete control over Patek Philippe and is not afraid of any problems. A satisfied smile appeared on Chun Fan's face. Today had just begun, and everything was going so smoothly. What a wonderful day. The Chun family in Jiangzhou also welcomed several important guests. The person sent by the head of the Chi family has arrived. Mr. Chun and several important figures of the Chun family came together to greet them. Old Master Chun invited several people from the Chi family in. Don't worry, Mr. Chun. That Chen Fan is nothing in the eyes of our Chi family. We, the Chi family side branch, can easily deal with him with just a flick of our fingers. These people from the Chi family swore that they were all confidants of the head of the Chi family. That's great. Thank Master Chi for me. Hearing this, Mr. Chun was very excited. Not long after he finished speaking, the representative of the Chi family, who was in the lead, suddenly saw a piece of news. The news came from the group chat of their Chi family side branch, and it was about Chen Fan. But when the Chi family representative saw the content of the message, his expression suddenly changed. Chapter 177. The 37th day of severing ties. The reward is Amlin Winery, ranked 5th in the south. Just now, with the help of Chen Fan, Chi Woman dug out an important chess piece that we had worked so hard to arrange in the Chi family's direct lineage industry, causing us to suffer a considerable loss. That chess piece was arranged by the Chi family side branch to be placed in the Chi family's direct lineage. It was hidden very deeply. They originally hoped that this direct lineage could play a more important role and sit in a higher position in the Chi family's direct lineage. In order to train this chess piece and support her to her current position, the Chi family side branch spent a lot of money and energy. As a result, such an important chess piece was suddenly dug out by Chen Fan, catching the Chi family side branches off guard. Damn it! The Chi family representative cursed loudly. He had just boasted in front of old man Chen, saying that Chen Fan was nothing at all, but he turned around, and before he could make a move to intimidate Chen Fan gave them a show of force. Chi Pei Yuan, Chen Fan has shown us his power. We cannot tolerate this. I hope you can let Chen Fan know, as soon as possible, what the consequences will be if he offends our Chi family. An order from an important figure from the Chi family side branch. Chi Pei Yuan is the name of the representative of the Chi family who came to the Chen family. Yes. Chi Pei Yuan nodded and took note of it. Afterwards, Chi Pei Yuan began to ask Mr. Chun about Chen Fan. In the morning, the system's reward arrived early. Bye. On the 37th day of severing the relationship, the reward is the 5th place in the south. 100% ownership of Amlin Winery. The purchase contract has been placed in your villa study. Please check it. Amlin Winery? Chen Fan had never heard of it. After all, he had never been involved in a winery before. Out of curiosity, Chen Fan searched for Amlin Winery on the internet. Amlin Winery is one of the top 10 wineries in the South and ranks 5th among the top 10 wineries in the South. Amlin Winery has an underground wine cellar covering an area of 6,000 square meters and thousands of acres of grape plantations. In addition, Anlin Winery also has a variety of top-quality wines, liquors, etc., with total assets exceeding 4 billion. With this private winery ranked 5th in the South, it will be much more convenient for Chun Fan to hold high-end banquets in the future. Just when Chun Fan was researching Anlin Winery, he suddenly received a call from Zhu Lingyu. Boss, there's something unexpected happening here at the company. I can't handle it. After discussing it with several senior executives of the company, I still need you to make the decision. After the call was connected, Zhu Lingyu said helplessly, Okay, I'll be there in a minute. Chen Fan nodded. More than 20 minutes later, Chen Fan arrived at Fading Group and met Zhu Lingyu, who had been waiting downstairs in the group building. What's wrong? Chen Fan asked. Zhu Lingyu pulled Chen Fan aside and whispered, Boss, our raw material supplier, Tao Kaiyu, the boss of Juchuan Group, is in your office right now. Oh, what's wrong? Chen Fan asked. Boss, Juchuan Group has always been a stable supplier of the company, and the cooperation between the two parties is also very good. As a result, yesterday, I don't know what Tao Kaiyu was thinking, but he suddenly asked to increase the price of raw materials by 1/3. Zhu Lingyu said angrily. Since yesterday, I have been negotiating with him, hoping that Tao Kaiyu would lower the price. In the end, although Tao Kaiyu agreed to lower the price, he still wanted to increase it by 1/5. No matter how I or other senior executives of the company talked to him, he just wouldn't agree. Until just now, Tao Kaiyu came to the company and asked to talk to you in person. If the price is increased by 1/5, Fading Group's profit will be reduced a lot. I see. Chun Fan nodded. Come on, take me to meet this Tao Kaiyu. As he spoke, Chen Fan walked towards the elevator, and Zhu Lingyu followed closely behind him. A few minutes later, Chen Fan met a slightly plump man in his 40s in the office. He was Tao Kaiyu, chairman of Juchuan Group. Chairman Tao, this is our boss, Mr. Chun. As soon as they came up, Zhu Lingyu took the initiative to introduce the two people. Oh, it's Mr. Chun, nice to meet you. After knowing Chun Fan's identity, Tao Kaiyu just greeted him perfunctorily and didn't even stand up. Chun Fan sat in the boss's seat and looked at Tao Kaiyu. In the elevator, Zhu Lingyu told Chun Fan in detail about the situation of the Juchuan Group. The strength of the Juchuan Group seemed to be just SOSO. Now that Tao Kaiyu is so confident and even dares to raise prices on his own initiative, I'm afraid there is a problem. Mr. Chun, I only raised the price by 1/5 instead of the original 1/3 because of our long-term cooperation. Mr. Chun, how do you think we can sign an agreement? Tao Kaiyu said. There is no problem with signing the agreement, but instead of raising the price by 1/5, we're going to lower it by 1/5. Right at the beginning, Chen Fan answered Tao Kaiyu in a tough attitude. What? Tao Kaiyu was stunned. He didn't expect Chun Fan to dare to say that. Now the labor, transportation, and other costs are rising. I have no choice but to raise prices. Even if the price increases by 1/5, I will not make any profit. Mr. Chun, if you not only don't raise the price, but also lower the price of raw materials, then I'm sorry, our cooperation will have to end here. Tao Kaiyu responded equally strongly. Mr. Chun, I advise you to think carefully. If you don't cooperate with us, your Fading Group may not be able to find a suitable supplier of raw materials in Zhonghai province. In fact, although Tao Kaiyu gave so many reasons, he did not mention the most important point. The fundamental reason why he dared to directly ask for a price increase was because he had a backer. Not long ago, he recognized an elder brother. This elder brother had a very high status and was a powerful figure in the entire Zhonghai province. With such a powerful backer, Tao Kaiyu naturally became arrogant, and that's why the price went up. If I can't find a suitable one in Zhonghai province, then I can go to Jiangzhou province or other places to look for one. If Mr. Tao also insists on raising the price, then our cooperation will come to an end. Chen Fan answered directly. There is no way he would agree to a price increase. If Tao Kaiyu cannot maintain the original price, Chen Fan doesn't mind changing a partner. With Chen Fan's current connections, it is only a matter of time to find a partner outside Zhonghai province. Seeing Chen Fan say this, Tao Kaiyu panicked a little. Deep down, Tao Kaiyu wanted to continue the cooperation. Once the cooperation ends, not only Fading Group, but they will also have to look for new partners. Tao Kaiyu does not have the confidence like Chen Fan to find the next partner. Tao Kaiyu hesitated for a while, but finally decided to use his big brother, his backer, to intimidate Chen Fan. Chapter 178, The Big Shot meets Chen Fan and gives him a special gift to apologize to him. Mr. Chen, the price increase was suggested by my eldest brother. You should think about it carefully. Your eldest brother? Yes, my eldest brother is the boss of Zhonghai province. Zheng Yunliang. Tao Kaiyu said his elder brother's name with great pride. Just when Tao Kaiyu thought that Chen Fan would be shocked after he said this name, Chen Fan's reaction made Tao Kaiyu stunned. Zheng Yunliang. Never heard of it. Chen Fan shook his head. Tao Kaiyu was stunned. His elder brother was so famous in Zhonghai province, but Chen Fan had never heard of him. My eldest brother Zheng Yunliang is the big boss of Zhonghai province. Not to mention in the small Jiangzhou, even if you look at the entire Zhonghai province, he is a powerful figure. Seeing this, Tao Kaiyu proudly showed off how awesome his elder brother was. Yeah, Chen Fan asked back calmly. Tao Kaiyu was quite angry when he saw that after he had introduced himself, Chen Fan still did not take his elder brother seriously. Wait a minute. I'll call my eldest brother right now and have him talk to you in person. As Tao Kaiyu spoke, he took out his cell phone. Chen Fan leaned leisurely in the boss chair, casually. Tao Kaiyu stood up, walked to the side, and called his backer. Boss Zheng, it's me, Xiao Tao. After the call was connected, Tao Kaiyu greeted in a low voice. Yes, it's you, what's wrong? Zheng Yunliang's voice came from the other end of the phone. Boss Zheng, it's like this. Tao Kaiyu told Zheng Yunliang the general idea of the matter. Boss Zheng, I would like to ask you to help me talk to Chen Fan. I will definitely reward you handsomely after the matter is completed. Tao Kaiyu explained the reason. Small problem. Isn't he just a small boss of Fading Group? Leave this matter to me. As long as I come forward and ask, I don't believe that Chen Fan will dare not agree. Zheng Yunliang said with high spirits and absolute confidence in himself. Apart from anything else, in Jiangzhou, few people dare to refuse me. Please turn on the speakerphone. Okay, thank you, Mr. Zheng. Tao Kaiyu was very excited. As he spoke, he turned on the speakerphone of his phone and placed the phone in front of Chen Fan. Tao Kaiyu stood aside smugly, ready to watch the show, waiting for Chen Fan to take the initiative to agree to raise the price. Isn't Chen Fan very arrogant? Huh. Now that he has met his boss, does Chen Fan still dare to be arrogant? Are you Chen Fan? Zheng Yunliang's voice came from the phone. Are you the Zheng Yunliang? Chen Fan asked back. Just when Zheng Yunliang was about to reveal his identity and make Chen Fan agree to Tao Kaiyu's price increase, there was a sudden knock on the door. Enter. Chen Fan spoke. The office door opened, and a staff member walked in. Boss, the chairman of Dongxing Group, Guo Minfu, and his son, want to see you. The staff member said respectfully. Eastern Group? Upon hearing this name, Zheng Yunliang, who was about to scare Chen Fan, immediately swallowed back the words he had prepared. His ears must have heard it right. Dongxing Group Chairman Guo Minfu and his son asked to see Chen Fan. Oh my God! Who is the Dongxing Group? It is a giant in their Zhonghai province. The father and son Guo Minfu, who are the bosses of the Dongxing Group, are even more big figures in their Zhonghai province. Although he is a big shot, in the eyes of Guo Minfu and his son, he is nothing at all. That's not right. Why would Guo Minfu and his son, the bosses of the Eastern Group, visit a little guy like you, Chen Fan? This is not right. No, it's not a visit, but a greeting, which is even more humble. No. After thinking about it, Zheng Yunliang felt that maybe Chen Fan wanted to use the name of Eastern Group to scare him, and it was not really the boss of Eastern Group who went to visit Chen Fan. After all, the chairman of the Eastern Group is such a distinguished and high-ranking figure. Why would he visit Chen Fan? Does Chen Fan have the qualifications? Let them in. Chen Fan spoke. 10 seconds later, Guo Minfu and Guo Guangsheng, father and son from Eastern Group, who had been waiting outside the office door, walked in. Guo Minfu and his unfilial son, Guo Guangxing, come to meet Mr. Chun. As soon as he came up, Guo Minfu greeted Chen Fan with great humility. Guo Guangxing was the man who came to teach Chen Fan a lesson, but was severely scolded by Chen Fan's future mother-in-law, Xia Ruoshui's mother. An hour ago, Guo Minfu and his son came to Yujing Villa, wanting to personally apologize to Chen Fan and Xia Ruoshui's mother. As it turned out, Chen Fan was not there. Xia Ruoshui next door told them that Chen Fan had gone to Fading Group. So after apologizing to Xia Ruoshui's mother, the father and son went to Fading Group. Facing the future son-in-law of the Xia family of Magic City, Guo Minfu and his son naturally did not dare to neglect him. I'm really sorry about what happened last time. Guo Minfu took the initiative to apologize to Chen Fan. Is that Guo Minfu, Mr. Guo? Before Chen Fan could speak, Zheng Yunliang's voice came from the phone. I'm Guo Minfu, who are you? Guo Minfu asked in surprise. After getting a positive answer, Zheng Yunliang was stunned. Chun Fan was not lying to himself. The person opposite him really was the founder of Eastern Group, Mr. Guo Fu. Zheng Yunliang's heartbeat suddenly quickened, and he became extremely nervous. "Hello, Mr. Guo. I am Xiao Zheng, Zheng Yunliang." Zheng Yunliang quickly greeted him in a flattering manner. At this moment, Zheng Yunliang was extremely humble, just like Tao Kaiyu's attitude when he was trying to please Zheng Yunliang just now. Ah! When Tao Kaiyu saw that his greatest support, Zheng Yunliang, called himself Little Zheng in front of this Mr. Guo, his heart sank to the bottom. "No, that's not good." Tao Kaiyu cried out that something was wrong. "Oh, it's you, Xiao Zheng, but I don't have time to talk to you now." After responding to Zheng Yunliang coldly, Guo Minfu looked at Chen Fan again. "Take your phone and go out for a while. I'll take care of things, then you can come in." Chen Fan looked at Tao Kaiyu. "Good." Tao Kaiyu swallowed his saliva, then immediately picked up his phone and went to wait outside the office. Seeing that there were no outsiders in the office, Guo Minfu took out something from his bag with great seriousness. This is the special gift that Guo Minfu carefully prepared to apologize to Chun Fan. Chapter 179. 10-digit profits every year. Unexpected phone call. That is a special document. Mr. Chun, this is the contact information of the people in charge of those large entertainment venues in the neighboring city. Guo Minfu introduced. Mr. Chun sent his men to Lynching to contact these persons in charge. At that time, they will hand over the control of those large entertainment venues to Mr. Chen's men. From now on, the #1 underground boss in Lynching will be Mr. Chen. Chen Fan and his son Guo Guangsheng had a conflict over the territory of Jiangzhou's #1 underground boss, so Guo Minfu handed over the territory of neighboring Lynching to Chen Fan as a gift of apology. Standing next to him, Guo Guangxing felt extremely pained as he watched his father hand over the territory he had worked so hard for to Chen Fan. It took him 4 full years, as well as countless money, connections, resources, etc., before he finally took down the position of Lynching's #1 underground boss. As a result, now, his 4 years of hard work will be given to Chun Fan in vain. However, although Guo Guangxing was extremely reluctant, he also knew that it had to be given. They can't afford to offend Xia family's future son-in-law. The annual income of most underground industries in a region is at least in the tens digits, and the first digit of the tens digit is not small. Guo Minfu did apologize to Chun Fan with full sincerity. If Mr. Chen has any problem in the future, you can contact us at any time. We at Dongson Group will go through fire and water without hesitation. After handing the things over to Chun Fan, Guo Minfu also promised that if Chun Fan had any problems in the future, they would be happy to help him. Mr. Chun, I was blind before. Please don't mind it. Next to him, Guo Guangxing also apologized to Chun Fan very humbly. While Chun Fan and Guo Minfu were talking, at the office door, Tao Kaiyu was holding a mobile phone, with beads of sweat on his forehead. At this moment, he was so frightened that his heart almost stopped beating. He saw with his own eyes what had just happened. Although he did not know Guo Minfu and his son, he clearly heard that his newly recognized big brother, Zheng Yunliang, his greatest backer, called himself Little Zheng in front of others. His attitude was even more humble than when he faced Zheng Yunliang. If his boss is like this, it goes without saying how powerful the Guo Minfu and his son are. But such a powerful figure came to pay a visit to Chen Fan in person, and looked like he was begging for mercy. They obviously didn't dare to provoke Chen Fan, not even such a big shot, but they. Thinking of this, Tao Kaiyu put on a mask of pain on his face. Zhu Lingyu stayed not far away, looking at Tao Kaiyu's anxious look, and found it very funny. "Boss, look at me." Tao Kaiyu was at a loss, so he asked his elder brother Zheng Yunliang in a trembling voice. Are you sick? Why are you calling me for no reason? Go beat your uncle." Zheng Yunliang cursed directly. "You deserve to die." Tao Kaiyu didn't dare to refute, so he had to stand there and listen obediently. He kept cursing for a long time, and only stopped when Zheng Yunliang's mouth was dry. It was because Zheng Yunliang was not in Jiangzhou now, otherwise he would have rushed over, raised his fist, and beat Tao Kaiyu, the blind man, to death. It was because of this bastard that I almost provoked a scary big shot. Fortunately, he swallowed back the words he wanted to say to scare Chen Fan when boss Guo Minfu arrived, otherwise he would have been in huge trouble. "Do you want to add more money now?" Zheng Yunliang's sarcastic voice came. I don't want to. Zheng Yunliang shook his head repeatedly and didn't dare to say anything about the price increase. "I'll tell you what to do." Zheng Yunliang and Tao Kaiyu discussed it. A few minutes later, Guo Minfu and his son left easily. Mr. Chun accepted the things, and the grudge was finally resolved. Seeing Guo Minfu and his son leave, Tao Kaiyu rushed in. Zhu Lingyu followed closely into the office. Mr. Chun, I was short-sighted and didn't recognize the real talent. I apologize. As soon as he came in, Tao Kaiyu bowed deeply to Chen Fan. Oh, aren't you going to raise the price? Chun Fan asked coldly. No, Mr. Chun, I was actually wrong just now. I don't want to raise the price. I want to lower it. Tao Kaiyu tu excellent. I'm willing to reduce the price by 1/5. Afraid of angering Chen Fan, Tao Kaiyu took the initiative to lower the price. After Tao Kaiyu finished speaking, Chen Fan did not answer. Seeing this, Tao Kaiyu gritted his teeth. No, Mr. Chen, I'm willing to reduce the price by 1/4. 1/4, that's a lot. However, Chen Fan still did not speak. Finally, Tao Kaiyu hardened his heart and spoke with great pain. Mr. Chun, I am willing to reduce the price by 1/3. 1/3 of the price was already the limit. Not only did he not make any profit, he even had to lose some money. Mr. Chun, you are a very tolerant person. Please don't argue with me. Initially, he wanted to raise the price by 1/3, but he ended up shooting himself in the foot and ended up lowering the price by 1/3. Chen Fan nodded, quite satisfied with the price. Vice President Zhu, go and sign a new long-term contract with Boss Tao. Chen Fan ordered. Yes, boss. Zhu Lingyu agreed with a smile. At this moment, she admired Chen Fan very much. The boss is really powerful. I and several other senior executives of the company talked to Tao Kaiyu for so long, but in the end he insisted on raising the price. But now that the boss is here, Tao Kaiyu not only did not raise the price, but instead reduced it by 1/3. Haha, Tao Kaiyu really deserves it. If he hadn't suddenly raised the price, this wouldn't have happened. Thank you, Mr. Chun. Goodbye, Mr. Chun. Tao Kaiyu and Zhu Lingyu left. After finalizing the new contract, Zhu Lingyu returned. Chen Fan briefly told her about the situation of Patek Philippe. Although he already owned more than 50% of Patek Philippe shares and had complete control over the company, it was still very important to cultivate and arrange a few confidants. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your trust. Zhu Lingyu said with great gratitude. Later, she was able to enter the management level of the Patek Philippe headquarters, which was something she had never dared to imagine before, even if she was the top scorer in the college entrance examination or a genius. After all, the country is so big, there are many top scorers and geniuses. Now, Mr. Chun has given him this opportunity, and Zhu Lingyu is extremely grateful to Chen Fan. Do your best. Chen Fan encouraged. After the matter was resolved, Chen Fan left the company. However, just as he walked downstairs to Fading Company, he suddenly received an unexpected call. Chapter 180, The Good Days of the Chi family side branch are over, and they come to visit Chen Fan with a special purpose. This call is from Xia Ruoshui's mother. Hello, Auntie. After the call was connected, Chen Fan greeted politely. Xiao Fan, are you free tonight? Come to my house for dinner. Xia Ruoshui's mother invited. Brother-in-law, my mother is going to cook for us tonight. This is a treat that even my father and I cannot enjoy. After Xia Ruoshui's mother finished speaking, Xia Ming's excited voice was heard on the phone again. This time, thanks to her brother-in-law, she was able to eat her mother's cooking again. Is it Ruoshui's mother who is cooking for me tonight? Through Xia Ming's words, Chen Fan came to a very important conclusion. That is, Ruoshui's mother should have completely recognized him. Xia Ming just said that normally, even Ruoshui's father and her daughter could not enjoy such treatment. My previous efforts were not in vain. I have time tonight, Annie. Chen Fan agreed. After making the agreement, Chen Fan hung up the phone. Later, Chen Fan contacted Wei Jingxiong again and asked him to select some trustworthy people and send them to the neighboring city Lincheng to take over the control of those large entertainment venues. The #1 underground boss in Lincheng City is also young Master Chen. Wei Jingxiong guessed. Chen Fan nodded. Mr. Chun is awesome. Wei Jingxiong was filled with emotion. At this moment, he was really glad that he followed Chen Xiao. In a short period of time, Chen Xiao has already controlled the underground world of Jiangzhou and Lincheng. This is too awesome. In the evening, Chen Fan came to Xia Ruoshui's house. At this moment, Xia Ruoshui's mother had already prepared a table full of sumptuous meals and was waiting for Chen Fan. Xiao Fan, last time Annie tasted your cooking skills. How about you try Annie's cooking skills this time? Xia Ruoshui's mother asked with a smile. Needless to say, the food cooked by Annie is definitely delicious. Chen Fan answered without hesitation. After hearing what Chen Fan said, the smile on Xiao Ruoshui's mother's face became even brighter. Chen Fan picked up the chopsticks and tasted it, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Annie's cooking skills are so good, Chen Fan said with emotion. This time he was telling the truth. The food cooked by my aunt was really delicious. This was something Chen Fan had never thought of. After all, Ruoshui was good in every aspect except cooking. Before coming, Chen Fan guessed that since Ruoshui's cooking skills were so difficult to evaluate, the aunt's cooking skills would probably be just average. But he didn't expect that the aunt's cooking skills were so good. Ruoshui, you need to learn more from your auntie. Your auntie's cooking skills are really good. I envy your uncle. Chen Fan looked at Xiao Ruoshui and said with emotion. Xiao Fan is right. I asked Ruoshui to learn cooking from me before, but Ruoshui refused to learn. Xiao Ruoshui's mother agreed with Chen Fan's words. I studied. Xiao Ruoshui gave Chen Fan a coquettish look and agreed to her mother's request. Just when Chen Fan was visiting Xiao Ruoshui's villa, Jiangzhou province, Qi family. In a villa of the Qi family, Qi Wenwen found her uncle because her father was on a business trip. Her uncle is also an important figure in the Qi family, and his status is no less than that of her father. Qi Wenwen told her uncle that Chen Fan could help their lineage and regain the position of head of the Qi family. He also told his uncle the news that Chen Fan had bought thousands of houses worth 4 or 5 billion yuan in one go and owned many powerful industries. This Chen Fan is indeed something. After listening to this, Qi Wenwen's uncle felt a little emotional. Qi Wenwen's uncle attaches great importance to Chen Fan. He believed that Chen Fan was extraordinary and very powerful, but he expressed deep doubts about whether Chen Fan could help them regain the position of head of the Qi family. It is not so easy to take back the position of the head of the Qi family. It cannot be done just by money or something. There are too many things involved. As for his personal visit to Jiangzhou to visit Chen Fan, Qi Wenwen's uncle could also consider it. Even if Chen Fan couldn't really help them seize the position of patriarch, it would be worthwhile to make friends with such an important figure and go to Jiangzhou. The problem is, he doesn't understand why Chen Fan wants to help them. Just because his daughter's classmate is his employee? This reason is too ridiculous. Uncle Qi Wenwen was a little suspicious of Chen Fan's purpose. Ding dong. At this time, Uncle Qi Wenwen's cell phone rang. He picked up his phone and immediately perked up. Their lineage had just received important news that the Qi family side branch was helping the Jiangzhou Chen family to deal with Chen Fan because of the family head's youngest daughter. After knowing the news, Uncle Qi Wenwen's suspicions immediately dissipated. He understood why Chen Fan wanted to help them. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. No matter what Chen Fan's purpose is, as long as he helps the Qi family's direct lineage, he will be their good friend. Qi Wenwen's uncle agreed to deal with the matters at hand and immediately go to Jiangzhou to visit Chen Fan. If everything goes well, with Mr. Chun as an ally, the good days of the Qi family side branch will be over. On the other side, after staying in Xiao Ruoshui's villa for an hour or two, Chen Fan left. The next morning, Chen Fan, who was at home, suddenly heard a knock on the door. Chen Fan went to open the door, only to see a smiling, chubby man in his 50s standing in front of Chen Fan's villa. Next to the man was his secretary, who was carrying various large and small packages of gifts. Excuse me, is this Mr. Chen Fan? The chubby man asked politely. It's me, Chen Fan. Who are you? Chen Fan nodded. He had never seen the person in front of him before. Hello, Nurtin. I am Yuan Lahong, the chairman of Yuan Group, and Yuan Onping is my son. The chubby man introduced himself. Chen Fan remembered it instantly. When he contacted his younger brother Yuan Onping to help Qi Wenwen pretend to cooperate, Yuan Onping did say that his father wanted to meet him. Oh, it's Boss Yuan, please come in. Chen Fan politely invited the other party in. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Yuan Lahong walked in politely and looked around Chen Fan's villa curiously. This time he came to meet Mr. Chen, but it was just a side thing. He came to meet Chen Fan this time for a more important purpose. Chapter 181 brings 20 billion in profits to Chen Fan and rewards him with new skills. I know Mr. Chun is very rich, but does Mr. Chen want to be even richer? After a few polite remarks, Yuan Lahong suddenly asked meaningfully, is there any need to say that? Chen Fan asked back. Of course Chen Fan wanted to be richer and more worthwhile. If he had hundreds of billions or even trillions, the Qi family and the Su family would be destroyed with just a breath from him. Why would there be any need to go through so much trouble? Mr. Chun, I have a way to make a fortune. Are you interested in listening to me? Yuan Lahong asked again. This is the most important purpose of his visit to Chen Fan. Ways to get rich? This time, Chen Fan did not speak because he did not know what Yuan Lahong was going to do or what his purpose was. Is there such a thing as a free lunch in this world? That's unlikely. If there is really a way to make money, why doesn't Yuan Lahong keep it to himself? People who make more money that way are mostly selfish. Even if he doesn't enjoy it all by himself, he can help his relatives and friends get rich. He and Yuan Lahong had never even met before, and they were only slightly related because of his son. Moreover, since this was their first meeting, Yuan Lahong said this already. The best option for Chen Fan was to keep silent and not make it clear whether he was interested or not, so that the other party would be unsure. Seeing that Chen Fan hadn't spoken for a long time, Yuan Lahong became a little impatient, so he took the initiative to introduce himself. Mr. Chen, I know a big boss in the southwest region who is very powerful. He came to our Zhonghai province recently and wants to establish a company in Zhonghai province. But he is an outsider after all, and he is unfamiliar with the place. So he wants to find a powerful person with connections to work with and establish this new company. As the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot defeat a local snake. This big boss from outside the province also knew that it was not easy for him to compete for the market and to get a piece of the cake in Zhonghai province when he suddenly built a company when he first arrived. So he thought of finding a local boss in Zhonghai province who had connections and power, and the two sides could cooperate. This way, things would be much more convenient. I understand what Boss Yuan means. Chen Fan nodded. But why didn't Mr. Yuan cooperate with this big boss from the southwest region himself, but came to me instead? Chen Fan then asked. Hearing this question, Yuan Lahong was embarrassed. Of course he wanted to cooperate with the other party himself. To this end, he even took the initiative to visit the big boss several times, but ultimately failed to achieve his goal. Yuan Lahong was not the only wealthy and powerful person in Zhonghai province who knew the news. There was a powerful person who was even more powerful than Yuan Lahong, Shui Beishi, who also extended an olive branch to this big boss from the southwest. Yuan Lahong knew very well that his strength alone was not enough to compete with Shui Beishi, so he needed an ally. Finally, after thinking for a long time, Yuan Lahong thought of the boss's son had just recognized Chen Fan. After learning from his son that Chen Fan was very capable, Yuan Lahong came to Chen Fan for cooperation. Yuan Lahong briefly told Chen Fan about his thoughts and Shui Beishi's affairs. As long as the company is established and develops smoothly, the bottom line is that it will have a profit of more than 20 billion. This is still the most conservative estimate, and there may be more. Faced with so many benefits, isn't Mr. Chen tempted? Yuan Lahong displayed the profits to attract Chen Fan. The profit is indeed considerable. But Chen Fan is not an impulsive person who is easily dazzled by profits. The higher the profit, the greater the risk, and the more cautious he should be. What industry will this new company be engaged in? Chen Fan asked. Engage in the new energy industry. Yuan Lahong replied. Afterwards, Chen Fan asked a few more questions, and Yuan Lahong's answers were pretty good. Mr. Chun, this big boss from the southwest region is currently in Lincheng, next to Jiangzhou. It's not far away. If I have time, I could take Mr. Chen to meet the big boss, and we can have a chat. Mr. Chen will know what's going on at a glance. Yuan Lahong spoke again. It would indeed be more useful for him and Yuan Lahong to meet the big boss in person than to talk here. Just as Chen Fan was thinking, the system's voice came. Bye. Temporary mission released. Go to Lincheng City with Yuan Lahong to meet the big boss from the southwest region to confirm the feasibility of the matter. Task reward. Top-level musical instrument proficiency. Can master 10 musical instruments, including piano, violin, guzheng, guqin. Task reward. 139 experience points. Huh. Looking at the system's tasks, Chen Fan was instantly moved. Playing the piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting, these 4 skills, I am finally going to complete them. As long as he completes this task, Chen Fan will be able to master 10 different Chinese and foreign musical instruments. This reward is quite good. What's more, even if the system does not reward him this time, Chen Fan will go to Lincheng City with Yuan Lahong to take a look. After all, it involves profits of more than 20 billion yuan, and he is now the #1 underground boss in Lincheng. Under Chen Fan's arrangement, Wei Jingxiong also sent people to Lincheng to take over the control of those large entertainment venues, including some bodyguards from Chen Fan's Juxiao security group. Lincheng is also Chen Fan's territory. He He doesn't worry about any problems when he goes to his own territory. It just so happens that I have time today, let's go. Chen Fan agreed. Mr. Chun is available today. That's great, I'll book the high-speed rail ticket now. As he said this, Yuan Lahong prepared to ask his secretary to buy the tickets. Booking high-speed rail tickets, no need. Chun Fan refused directly. Mr. Chen wants to drive there, but it's a bit troublesome to drive there as it will take several hours. Yuan Lahong asked, I don't drive either. Chun Fan shook his head. Driving there was too slow and would waste too much time. So how does Mr. Chen want to go? Yuan Lahong asked with some dissatisfaction. If they don't buy train tickets and drive, then how will they get there? Will they walk? He thought Chen Fan was playing a trick on him by agreeing to go to lynching. I took a private jet, of course. Chen Fan replied calmly. Flying is so fast. What's more, Chen Fan has never ridden in a private plane since he got it. Now he can take this opportunity to experience what it feels like to ride in his own private plane. What? Mr. Chen has a private jet? Yuan Lahong was very surprised that even he didn't have one. Let's go. Let's go to Jiangzhou airport. After that, Chen Fan took Yuan Lahong and his secretary out of the villa and headed straight for Jiangzhou airport. On the way, Yuan Lahong was very curious and guessed what Chen Fan's private jet would look like. Mr. Chen's private jet would probably be an ordinary, more popular one. More than an hour later, they arrived at Jiangzhou airport. Under the guidance of the staff, Yuan Lahong followed Chen Fan to his private plane. After seeing clearly what Chen Fan's private jet looked like, Yuan Lahong was shocked. Chapter 182. The 38th day of severing ties. Reward card for increasing the upper limit of income. Yuan Lahong stared ahead with a dull look. Mr. Chen's private jet is twice the size of any private jet he has ever seen. Yuan Lahong curiously observed Chen Fan's private plane for a while. Mr. Chen, what model is your private jet? Out of curiosity, Yuan Lahong turned his head and asked. This is from Gulfstream. Chen Fan answered casually. What? This is the world-famous Gulfstream private jet. Yuan Lahong was extremely surprised. He had heard of the name of Gulfstream. It was said that this type of private jet was loved by various wealthy people in the world. He did not expect that Mr. Chen actually had one. Mr. Chun is really amazing, Yuan Lahong said with emotion. It is definitely the right choice to seek cooperation with Mr. Chen yourself. Let's go, Boss Yuan. Chen Fan was the first to board the private plane. The crew members who had been waiting for a long time came over immediately and helped Chen Fan get his coat. Before coming, Chen Fan had contacted the captain and told him about going to lynching. Soon, the plane took off and headed straight for lynching. At noon, Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong had a simple meal on the private plane, which included Australian lobster, Alba white truffle, pearl sturgeon caviar, premium French foie gras, etc. In order to cope with sudden travel plans like today, Chen Fan always keeps a variety of top-quality ingredients on his private plane for easy consumption. This is the plain and simple life of the rich, tasting all kinds of extremely fresh top-quality ingredients. Even Yuan Lahong felt a little moved, thinking that Mr. Chen really knows how to enjoy life. At noon, just after Chen Fan finished his meal, the system's voice came. Bye. On the 38th day of severing the relationship, you will be rewarded with an intermediate income limit increase card. Once used, the income limit can be increased by 5.5 billion. You can only use it yourself and cannot give it to others. Interesting. Chen Fan felt emotional. This intermediate income ceiling increase card can actually directly increase the income ceiling of a certain business by a full 5.5 billion. The effect is quite impressive. Chen Fan thought about it and instantly came up with an idea. Now that I have it, I won't keep it. Chen Fan clicked into the system backpack and found this intermediate income limit increase card. Buy. Whether to activate the intermediate income limit increase card. Yes. No. Promote. Chen Fan chose to be promoted without hesitation. And this time, the company Chen Fan promoted was not the new energy company that Yuan Lahong had mentioned to be jointly established, but his own software company. After all, the software company is owned by Chen Fan alone. And as for this new energy company, let's not talk about whether it is reliable or not. Even if it is really reliable, once it is established in the future, the 5.5 billion will need to be divided among 3 people. Why would Chen Fan give it to others? This is his own system. Wouldn't it be good for him to enjoy it all by himself? Bye. Intermediate income limit card upgrade successful. A few seconds later, the system sent a message that the upgrade was successful. The upper limit of software revenue has been increased by another 5.5 billion yuan. Now, Chen Fan has completed the basic preparations for putting his software on the shelves. Once the promotion work is completed, it can be put on the shelves immediately. At that time, you don't have to do anything. The income from this software will continue to flow into Chen Fan's wallet, and it will be Chun Fan's wallet alone. How cool it is! Time flies. Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong arrived at Lynching City. At this moment, outside the airport, there was already a Rolls-Royce Ghost waiting there. After getting in the car, the two went straight to the big boss's mansion in the nearby city. According to Yuan Lahong, this big boss from the southwest region is called Jin Yongming, who made his fortune in the energy business in the southwest. However, the energy business is not doing well now, while the new energy industry is booming. Jin Yongming thought this was a great opportunity to get rich quickly, so he came to China overseas and planned to co-found a new energy company. When they arrived at Jin Yongming's mansion and explained their purpose, the nanny respectfully invited them to the reception room. Hey, isn't this our boss, Yuan Lahong? Why did you condescend to come here in person? As soon as I entered the reception room, a sarcastic voice was heard. The person who mocked Yuan Lahong was none other than Yuan Lahong himself, who was unable to deal with Xue Beishi, a wealthy man from Zhonghai province. The two people's schedules collided again. In the past, facing Xue Beishi's sarcasm, Yuan Lahong was silent. After all, Xue Beishi was stronger than him. But this time it was different. Yuan Lahong refuted without hesitation. Humph, boss Xue. You're here in person, right? No one should laugh at anyone else. This time, he has an ally in Mr. Chun, so he is not afraid of Xue Beishi causing trouble. Oh. Even Xue Beishi was a little surprised to see that Yuan Lahong dared to refute him directly. Soon, Xue Beishi's gaze shifted to Chen Fan. Xue Beishi looked at Chun Fan with an arrogant look and continued to sarcastically say, "Why did Boss Yuan come to visit Boss Jean and bring a junior with him? Doesn't he know that Boss Jean hates this kind of behavior the most? Mr. Xue, please speak with respect. This is Chun Fan, Mr. Chun. He is my partner, not my junior." Yuan Lahong corrected it immediately. What? This guy is your partner. Ha 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 ha. I am dying of laughter. Xue Beishi pointed at Chen Fan and laughed out loud, as if she had heard some funny joke. Yuan Lahong, if you really don't have any partners, I can help you find one. Why did you find such a young man? He's so ugly. Xue Beishi didn't take the young man Chen Fan seriously at all. If Yuan Lahong found other bigwigs and wealthy people in Zhonghai, he might not have any advantage in dealing with Mr. Jin's matter. As a result, I don't know if Yuan Lahong had a problem with his brain. He actually found a young boy in his 20s as his partner, which really made him laugh to death. It seems that he has a sure win in becoming Mr. Jin's partner this time. Chapter 183. Showing off his black card in front of Chen Fan. The most turbulent time. There are indeed some ugly things here. Look, weren't they showing off just now? Facing Xue Beishi's ridicule, Chun Fan slowly sat down and retorted without any hesitation. What did you say? Xue Beishi was annoyed at the time and questioned Chen Fan directly. Who is he? Who is this kid? How did he talk to me like that? Are you deaf? Chen Fan leaned back on the sofa and asked. Bang! Xue Beishi slammed the table, stood up, and said arrogantly, Boy, you. But before Xue Beishi could finish speaking, the sound of footsteps came from inside. The owner of the villa, Jin Yongming, a big boss from the southwest region, came out. I'm sorry, everyone. I was busy just now and kept you waiting for a long time. As soon as he came in, Jin Yongming spoke apologetically. No, it's my duty to wait for President Jin. It's also my honor. Seeing Jin Yongming coming out, the arrogance on Xue Beishi's face disappeared immediately. Instead, she smiled and greeted Jin Yongming. The speed of Xue Beishi's expression changing was even faster than turning pages of a book. It could even be used as a teaching material for students majoring in acting. Seeing this scene, Chun Fan couldn't help but shake his head. He was very pessimistic about Xue Beishi's deliberate attempt to please Jin Yongming. Let's not talk about whether it can be successful or not. Even if it is successful, they are partners and are on the same level. Everyone is the same. But if you take the initiative to lower your status and be inferior to others from the beginning, even if the company is started, the control of the company in the future will be in the hands of others and will have nothing to do with you. Boss Jin, let me introduce you. This is my partner, Boss Chun, Mr. Chun. Yuan Lahong stepped forward and introduced Chen Fan. It's Mr. Chun, hello. Jin Yongming took the initiative to shake hands with Chen Fan. Hello, Boss Jin. By the way, Boss Jin, you just said you had something to ask. What was it? Maybe I can help you. When Xue Beishi saw that Jin Yongming and Chen Fan knew each other, He immediately stepped forward and asked in a very flattering manner. Oh, it's nothing important. My company in Southwest China encountered some problems, so I had to go back temporarily. Unfortunately, there were no flights to Southwest China today. We'll just have to wait until tomorrow. Jin Yongming answered helplessly. Both Jiangzhou and Linqing are small airports with very few flights every day. Oh, the company is having problems. How can we wait? Mr. Jin, I have a private plane. I'll arrange it. You can leave for the Southwest this afternoon. Xue Beishi said boastfully. Xue Beishi doesn't have a private jet, although he doesn't lack the money. But the problem is that he almost always stayed in the Southwest before and seldom went out. Even if he bought a private jet, he probably would not use it once a year, and it would just sit there gathering dust. Moreover, the maintenance cost of a private jet is quite high, so it is not worth buying. They are rich people, not spendthrifts. Mr. Xue has a private jet? Jin Yongming's eyes lit up. Yes, Boss Jin, my private jet is a Bombardier Challenger 350 business jet, which can accommodate 8 people, has a spacious cabin, and comfortable leather sofas. Finding that Jin Yongming seemed interested, Xue Beishi hurriedly and proudly introduced her private jet. Beside him, Yuan Lahong lost his composure. If Mr. Jin really took Xue Beishi's private plane to the Southwest, then Mr. Jin would owe Xue Beishi a small favor. If he chooses a partner later, Mr. Jin will probably be slightly biased towards Xue Beishi. This is not good news for them. No, I must stop this from happening. As for how to stop it, it is also very simple. Don't they also have private jets? And they are the famous Gulfstream ones. Wouldn't it beat Xue Beishi's Bombardier Challenger 350 business jet? But this Gulfstream belongs to Mr. Chun, so we have to listen to Mr. Chen's opinion. Thinking of this, Yuan Lahong looked at Chen Fan. His meaning was very clear. Chen Fan nodded slightly. It would only cost a few 100,000 yuan for a round trip by plane, but if he could help win Jin Yongming's cooperation and get a conservative profit of 20 billion, he would make a lot of money. Well, Boss Jin, our CEO, Chen also has a private jet, and it's a more luxurious, faster, and safer Gulfstream private jet. After getting Chun Fan's approval, Yuan Lahong immediately stood up and spoke. Oh, Mr. Chun has a Gulfstream private jet? Jin Yongming immediately became very interested. Gulfstream? Xue Beishi was immediately embarrassed. Gulfstream is indeed better than its own Bombardier Challenger 350. Even if one Gulfstream cannot buy 10 of its own private jets, it is more than enough to buy 7 or 8. Compared with Chun Fan's Gulfstream, his own private jet instantly lost any advantage. I bought it a while ago. Chen Fan nodded and responded to Jin Yongming's words. I happen to be staying in Linqing these 2 days, so I can lend my private plane to Mr. Jin temporarily. Chen Fan has already asked for leave. He has just acquired the territory of Linqing. Now is the time of power transfer, which is also the most turbulent time and the time when things are most likely to go wrong. Chen Fan will stay in Linqing for a few days to take charge and supervise. After all, this involves tens-digit profits, and it happens every year. How can Chen Fan not care? Thank you very much, Mr. Chun. Jin Yongming said gratefully. This is a good opportunity for him to see what the riding experience of the famous Gulfstream is like. If it is good, he will also spend money to buy one. Seeing Chen Fan and Jin Yongming talking happily, Xue Beishi's face became solemn. The situation was not good for him now. No, he had to save the situation. Boss Jin, if I want to become your partner, I must have strong financial support. I, Xue, believe that I have the financial resources to do so, but I can't say the same about Boss Yuan. Xue Beishi said sarcastically. Why shouldn't I say it? Even if I don't have the financial resources, don't I still have Mr. Chun? Mr. Chun and I are also partners. Yuan Lahong immediately refuted. Besides, your boss Xue said you have the financial resources, so you have it. How do you prove it? How can I prove it? A triumphant smile appeared on Xue Beishi's face. What he was waiting for was Yuan Lahong's words. I'm sorry, I got a special bank card not long ago. As he spoke, Xue Beishi took out a mysterious black card from his pocket with great pride and then slowly placed it on the table. When they saw clearly what the black card was, Jin Yongming and Yuan Lahong were stunned. Especially Yuan Lahong, his expression changed drastically. At this moment, he wanted to slap himself. Why did he question Xue Beishi's financial resources for no reason? Now he was shooting himself in the foot. Oh no. Chapter 184. Thousandfold rebate received. Ordinary life of the rich. Mr. Xue is actually the owner of the Westminster Bank MasterCard Black Card. I am so disrespectful. I am so disrespectful. Even Jin Yongming couldn't help but sigh. Shui Beishi's black card is none other than one of the world's top 10 black cards, the Westminster Bank MasterCard Black Card. Strictly speaking, it ranks 5th among the world's top 10 black cards. How about this, Boss Yuan? This Westminster Bank MasterCard Black Card of mine can prove my financial strength, right? Shui Beishi looked at Yuan Lahong in an extremely ostentatious manner. Yuan Lahong was speechless for a moment and couldn't answer. Why did he ask such a question for no reason? Now that Shui Beishi was showing off like this, he felt embarrassed. Yuan Lahong also has a black card, but his black card is relatively ordinary, far inferior to Shui Beishi's black card, and it is embarrassing enough to take it out. I think I am more suitable to be Mr. Jin's partner than Boss Yuan and this Mr. Chun. Shui Beishi stood up and said with a smile. Beside him, Jin Yongming touched his chin, silent, and no one knew what he was thinking. Boss Yuan, Mr. Chun, do you think I'm right? Shui Beishi looked at Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong arrogantly again. Yuan Lahong's face turned pale, and he was unable to answer. Just when Shui Beishi felt that she had won, Chen Fan spoke up. If having a powerful black card makes you suitable to be Mr. Jin's partner, then I seem to be more suitable than you. You are more suitable than me? Ha! Shui Beishi sneered. Then, under Shui Beishi's puzzled gaze, Chen Fan took out his black card from his pocket and casually placed it on the table. Shui Beishi, Jin Yongming, and Yuan Lahong came over curiously. When they saw clearly what kind of black card Chen Fan had, the three of them were stunned for a moment. Oil Country First Royal Bank MasterCard Black Card? Oh my god, it turns out that Mr. Chun is the most low-key and the most powerful one. Jin Yongming and Yuan Lahong were amazed. The Oil Country First Royal Bank MasterCard Black Card is also one of the top 10 black cards in the world. Coincidentally, the Oil Country First Royal Bank MasterCard Black Card ranks 4th, which just happens to be the 5th one, namely Shui Beishi's Westminster Bank MasterCard Black Card. How could it be? How can you be the owner of the MasterCard Black Card of the First Royal Bank of the Oil Country when you were so young? Shui Beishi muttered foolishly. Even now, he still couldn't believe what he saw. The Oil Country First Royal Bank MasterCard Black Card is invitation only. How can a 20-year-old boy like Chen Fan have it? This is unreasonable. At first, he mocked Chen Fan as a misfit, but he didn't expect that he was the real misfit. Shui Beishi was severely suppressed by Chen Fan again, and his face looked extremely ugly. Mr. Chun is young and promising, Jin Yongming said with emotion. Afterwards, Jin Yongming took the initiative to add Chen Fan's contact information, as if he wanted to make friends with Chen Fan. Seeing this scene, Shui Beishi realized that the situation was not good. Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong had the upper hand. Boss Jin, aren't you in a hurry to go to the southwest to deal with the problem? It's getting late. You should leave as soon as possible to avoid being too late when you arrive in the southwest. Shui Beishi pretended to remind him with concern. In fact, he just wanted Jin Yongming to separate from Chen Fan temporarily to prevent the two from talking more, which would be more disadvantageous to him. That's right. Jin Yongming nodded. Chen Fan contacted his private jet and took care of everything. Jin Yongming also simply picked up some luggage, and a few of them went outside. Thank you, Mr. Chun. I will come back tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. When I come back, I will have a good chat with Mr. Chun. Before leaving, Jin Yongming thanked Chen Fan again. Jin Yongming left first. Noticing that Jin Yongming had walked away, Shui Beishi glanced at Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong with a provocative look. We'll see. Shui Beishi got into his car and left. There was no way he would give up. Such a huge amount of money was involved, so he would definitely continue to fight for it. The 1 or 2 days that Boss Jin is away is his chance. In the end, only Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong were left there. Mr. Chun, since you are going to stay in Lincheng for a few days, do you need me to arrange a place for you to stay? I have several villas in Lincheng. Yuan Lahong asked enthusiastically. Thank you for your kindness, Boss Yuan. No need for that. My people have already arranged a place to stay. Chen Fan shook his head. Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong separated temporarily. Chen Fan got into the Rolls-Royce Ghost, and the driver took Chen Fan straight to his temporary residence. Because Chen Fan was tired of living in a villa, this time, he asked someone to arrange a large flat with an area of only 600 or 700 square meters for him to live in. More than 20 minutes later, Chen Fan arrived at the large flat, where the property's private butler was already waiting. The property's private butler took Chen Fan to visit the entire large flat. Chen Fan was quite satisfied with it, especially the view outside the huge floor-to-ceiling windows in the living room, which Chen Fan particularly liked. You arrange for people to buy several new sets of bedding, quilts, bathrobes, daily necessities, as well as food, drinks, etc. Chun Fan ordered a personal butler. Chen Fan lived here for the next few days. He found that many daily necessities were missing, and the bed sheets had been there for who knows how long. Chen Fan directly ordered new ones. Yes, sir. The private butler took care of it. More than an hour later, the private butler completed everything according to Chun Fan's requirements. Mr. Chun, the total cost this time is 4,729,000 yuan. The butler handed the bill to Chun Fan. Chun Fan took it and took a look. He found that the private butler only purchased the best items. Even the most basic towels were from Hermes and cost over 10,000 yuan. This is the ordinary life of the rich. Chen Fan was sure that there was no problem, so he planned to transfer money to his personal butler. However, at the moment of transferring the money, Chen Fan suddenly remembered that the 1,000 times consumption rebate card he had obtained from the system before was still there, and this was the time to use it. Thinking about it, Chen Fan clicked into the system backpack and found the 1,000 times consumption rebate card. Buy. Whether to activate the 1,000-fold consumption rebate card. Excited, Chen Fan immediately chose to activate it. 1,000-fold consumption rebate card is now available. Chen Fan transferred the money to his personal butler. A few seconds later, Chen Fan's cell phone suddenly rang. 1,000 times rebate has arrived. Chapter 185, Billions of Bank Card Balances, Meeting an Old Friend. Chen Fan took out his cell phone and saw that it was a message from the bank. Your card with the last number 5167 has a credit of 4,500,000,000 yuan and a balance of 1,029,876,3047 yuan. Because the upper limit of the system's 1,000-fold rebate card is only 4.5 billion. Even though Chen Fan spent more than 4.7 million, he only received a rebate of 4.5 billion, and there was no rebate for the remaining 200,000 or so. But this is nothing at all. 200,000 or so is not even a drop in the bucket for Chun Fan at this moment. With the arrival of these 4.5 billion, the balance of Chun Fan's bank card officially reached the terrifying 11-digit figure, which is a huge amount of tens of billions. Now, Chun Fan has tens of billions in liquid funds alone. At this moment, let alone Yuan Lahong and Shui Beishi, even Jin Yongming may not have as much liquid funds as Chun Fan. You should know that although many wealthy people are worth a lot, most of their wealth is held in shares of various companies and industries, and they do not have much cash on hand. It is already very impressive for a person to have tens of billions of liquid funds. Just as Chun Fan was sighing, he suddenly received a call from Wei Jingxiong. In order to complete the transfer of power faster and more smoothly, Wei Jingxiong came over in person. Knowing that Chun Fan was also in Lincheng, Wei Jingxiong specially greeted him. I will be in Lincheng for the next few days. If you have any questions, you can contact me. Chun Fan warned. With Master Chen here, I feel relieved. Wei Jingxiong said with emotion that although he had come to Lincheng in person, he could not guarantee that he could control the situation. After all, power was easy to swallow, but it was difficult to make him give it up. But now that young Master Chen is here, he can relax. Around 6 o'clock in the afternoon, Chun Fan had nothing to do in the flat, so he planned to go out for a walk. This was his first time in the city, so he decided to go out for dinner. Thinking of this, Chun Fan drove to the bustling area in the city center. Chun Fan was walking leisurely on the street, looking at the shops on the street, and considering which one to eat. Just when Chun Fan wasn't paying attention, someone suddenly patted his shoulder. Old Chun. Chun Fan turned his head in surprise, only to see a slightly plump boy wearing glasses standing behind him with a surprised expression on his face. Hey, Lao Luo. Looking at the slightly plump boy, Chun Fan was also a little surprised. This slightly plump boy is named Luo Junkai. He was Chun Fan's classmate in Jiangzhou High School and also his good friend. It's just that Chun Fan was admitted to Jiangzhou University and Luo Junkai was admitted to Lincheng University of Science and Technology, so the two didn't have much contact. Unexpectedly, they met in the center of Lincheng. Old Chen, aren't you in Jiangzhou? Why did you suddenly come to Lincheng? Luo Junkai asked curiously. Oh, I have something to deal with in the city. Chun Fan replied. That's a coincidence. There's a party tonight, and there are several people we know from Jiangzhou. You can come with us. Luo Junkai invited. Originally, Chun Fan was too lazy to go, but Luo Junkai continued. We two brothers haven't seen each other for a long time. This is a good opportunity for us to have a good chat. Bye. Task release. Promise Luo Junkai to go to that party and have a good time together. Task time. Within 3 hours. O task reward, top singing skills. Task reward, 138 experience points. The system suddenly received a task. The system came with a task, and Chen Fan didn't know where to go for dinner. He happened to meet an old friend. The two hadn't seen each other for a long time, so it was a good opportunity to chat. In this way, you can complete the task and catch up with old friends at the same time, killing two birds with one stone. Good. Chen Fan nodded and agreed. The party will be at 7:30 tonight. I'll go talk to Lao Qian and ask him to add a seat. Luo Junkai spoke, and the Lao Qian he mentioned was the organizer of this party. See you later, Lao Chun. After saying that, Luo Junkai left and went to do it. It was still early, so Chen Fan found a quiet place and called Xiang Lao. His temporary task, to verify the feasibility of cooperation with Jin Yongming, has not been completed yet. Although Jin Yongming has left temporarily, Yuan Lahong is still there. Chen Fan wanted to know from Mr. Xiang what kind of person Yuan Lahong was, which could also be regarded as a side verification of the feasibility of this matter. If Yuan Lahong is a wealthy man who likes to brag, is unreliable, and even likes to cheat people, then the feasibility of this matter will be greatly reduced. 10 seconds later, the person on the other end picked up the phone. Chen Fan asked a few general questions, and Mr. Xiang told Chen Fan about Yuan Lahong's situation. There is no major problem with Yuan Lahong, except that he dotes on his son a little too much and likes to put on a show when doing things. Chen Fan nodded. It was good that Yuan Lahong was not a trap. In this way, the feasibility of this matter increased a bit. After speaking briefly to Mr. Xiang, Chen Fan hung up the phone. At this moment, Luo Junkai had already sent the location of the party to Chen Fan. Chen Fan drove the Rolls-Royce Gusta and headed straight for the high-end restaurant. When Chen Fan was in high school, his parents had not disappeared. They attached great importance to Chen Fan's education and sent him to an aristocratic middle school. As Chen Fan's high school classmate, Luo Junsai's family situation was also not simple. Because it was dinner time and there were not enough parking spaces, Chen Fan finally found a spot to park. After parking the car, Chen Fan just arrived at the restaurant lobby and saw Luo Junkai. Old Chun, come here. Soon, under the leadership of Luo Junkai, the two came to a large private box. At this moment, there were more than 10 young men and women in the box. When some of them saw Chen Fan, they were immediately surprised and came over to greet him. They and Chen Fan were alumni. Hey, isn't this young Master Chun the direct descendant of our Chen family? I heard that young Master Chun has severed ties with the Chen family. How can he still have the money to come to a high-end restaurant like ours? A sarcastic voice was heard, and a tall man holding a wine glass walked over with a look of disgust on his face. The tall man's name was Sun Shuza. He had a bad relationship with Chen Fan when they were in the aristocratic high school. Unexpectedly, he met him here. Sun Shuza, don't make trouble. Luo Junkai warned Sun Shuza. Sun Shuza sneered and walked away. By the way, Lao Chun, you just arrived in Lincheng. Do you want to stay at my place tonight? I have rented a house. Luo Junkai invited. That's not necessary. I have a place to live. Chen Fan spoke. Just as Chen Fan finished speaking, Sun Shuza's sarcastic voice came again. Ha! Now that you've severed your ties with the Chen family and don't have a wealthy family background, you probably can't even afford to stay in a 5-star hotel. You can only stay in a rubbish and dirty 3 or 4-star hotel. Chapter 186, What is Chen Fan's vehicle? Shui Beishi's idea. You are wrong. I don't live in a hotel. I live in Shengshu Mansion, which is not far from here. Chen Fan answered calmly. Shengshu Mansion? Hearing this word, everyone at the scene couldn't sit still. Shengshu Mansion is recognized as the place with the highest housing prices in the entire Lincheng, without a doubt. Moreover, every house in Shengshu Mansion is over 400 square meters. According to conservative estimates, one house costs tens of millions. Chen Fan had just arrived in Lincheng and was actually living in the magnificent Shengshu Mansion. This was too luxurious. Sun Shuza was also stunned. Even the top 5-star hotel in the nearby city could not compare to the luxury of Shengshu Mansion. This kid Chen Fan actually lives in Shengshu Mansion. Awesome. I didn't expect that young Master Chen actually lives in Shengshu Mansion. That's amazing. Everyone at the scene was amazed. For a time, many people tried to please Chen Fan in various ways. Humph, what's so great about that? Maybe it's just a temporary rental. How much does it cost to rent a house? I'm just holding on for the sake of face. Sun Shuza said sourly. That is, what young Master Sun said makes sense. There were also people at the scene who agreed with Sun Shuza. In the past 2 years, Sun Shuza's father's business has been booming and his net worth has increased a lot. So some people who try to please him have gathered around Sun Shuza. Luo Junkai was about to refute when the waiters started serving the dishes and everyone had to sit down. Chen Fan and Luo Junkai sat next to each other, eating and chatting. Others were also chatting, and as they chatted, these rich young men started talking about cars. By the way, I heard that young Master Sun recently bought a new car. What kind of car is it? A sports car? Someone looked at Sun Shuza. It's not a fancy car, just a Ferrari 488. Sun Shuza's extremely modest answer. Fuck, Ferrari 488? That's awesome. A Ferrari 488 costs more than 4 million, right? Young Master Sun, can you give me a ride back home? Knowing that the car Sun Shuza bought was a Ferrari 488 worth more than 4 million yuan, many people began to try to please Sun Shuza. Enjoying the flattery, Sun Shuza's mouth was almost crooked with smile. Low-key, it's not just a luxury car. Sun Shuza spoke. By the way, young Master Chen is coming to the city, so he probably doesn't have a car yet. How about I lend you my discarded Porsche 911? Sun Shuza looked enthusiastic. No, I have a car. Chen Fan flatly refused. Oh, Master Chen also has a car. Given Master Chen's status, your car should be quite impressive, at least not inferior to my Ferrari 488. I wonder what kind of luxury car Master Chen drives? Sun Shuza asked provocatively. In an instant, everyone else at the scene looked at Chen Fan curiously, looking forward to what kind of car Chen Fan would drive. It's just a mobility scooter. Chen Fan gave a perfunctory reply and ignored Sun Shuza. A mobility scooter? Sun Shuza smiled disdainfully. How much does a car cost? 1 or 200,000? Or at most a few hundred thousand? At this moment, he was more certain that Chen Fan's house in Shengsha Mansion must be rented. When other people of the scene heard Chen Fan say it was a mobility vehicle, they instantly lost interest. What kind of rubbish is a mobility vehicle? It is certainly not as good as young Master Sun's Ferrari 488. Young Master Sun is still amazing. Sun Shaokai is already driving a Ferrari in his sophomore year. How enviable. Everyone started to please Sun Shuza again. Just when Sun Shuza was feeling proud, a waiter walked in. Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask who owns the Rolls-Royce Ghost outside? There is a vacant parking space now. You can move your car into it. The waiter said respectfully. Go ask somewhere else. Yeah, there's no one here who can afford a Rolls-Royce Ghost. Yes, it's a Rolls-Royce Ghost with license plate number 12345. It's impossible for a big shot of this level to be in our box. You should go somewhere else. Now several people waved their hands, very sure that a big shot of this level would not be here with them. That Rolls-Royce Ghost is mine. Just then, a faint voice was heard. In an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on Chen Fan. The Rolls-Royce Ghost with license plate number 12345 was actually Chen Fan's car. Oh my god, that's awesome. The price of a Rolls-Royce Ghost is at least around 7 million. This level of luxury car is already very awesome. But what did Chen Fan just say? His car is just a means of transportation. A Rolls-Royce Ghost worth 7 million, used as a car for transportation? This is too much money. Rolls-Royce Ghost. Is this the car that Chen Fan mentioned? In an instant, no one cared about his Ferrari 488 anymore, and everyone started to try to please Chen Fan again. Looking at this group of fence-sitters, Sun Shuza sighed softly and no longer dared to compare his wealth with Chen Fan. Not only is Chen Fan's car a Rolls-Royce Ghost, but the license plate number is also 12,345, which is extremely impressive. It's so embarrassing. Sun Shuza lowered his head and did not dare to look at Chen Fan. Chen Fan threw the car keys to the waiter and asked him to move the car. Old Chen, I didn't expect that after you severed your relationship with the Chen family, you became more and more awesome. You live in a luxury house and drive a luxury car. I am so jealous of you. Luo Junkai said with emotion. It's nothing. Chen Fan shook his head. A house worth more than 30 million and a car worth several million. These are not luxury houses or luxury cars. They are really ordinary. Suddenly, the system's voice came. Bye. Promise Luo Junkai to go to that party and have a good time together. Mission accomplished. Congratulations on winning. Top singing skills. Congratulations on obtaining 138 experience points. Mission accomplished. Chen Fan acquired top-level singing skills. In an instant, Chen Fan went from being tone-deaf to becoming a great god with singing skills comparable to top singers. While Chen Fan was eating, Shui Beishi was naturally not idle either. Shui Beishi thought for a long time. He knew that Yuan Lahong was not a concern. What he really needed to consider was how to deal with Chen Fan. Chen Fan is the real top priority. After thinking for a long time, Shui Beishi suddenly stood up and walked outside. He had a brilliant idea that could make Chen Fan give up this business, or even get out of lynching. Who does Chen Fan think he is? How dare he compete with him? Chapter 187. The wealthy man in Zhonghai province was shocked by Chen Fan's balance, Shui Beishi's capital, for being rampant. After dinner, Chen Fan was driving back to his villa. On the way, he suddenly received a call from Yuan Lahong. Yuan Lahong asked Chen Fan if he had time to go to his villa and sit for a while so that they could talk about the cooperation with Jin Yongming. Chen Fan asked where Yuan Lahong's villa was. After knowing the specific address, he found that Yuan Lahong's villa was not far from Xingshi Mansion, so Chen Fan agreed. Not long after Chen Fan arrived at Yuan Lahong's villa, there was a knock on the door. The nanny went to open the door, and soon, an uninvited guest walked in. This person was Shui Beishi. Sure enough, Mr. Chun is here too. Looking at Chen Fan, Shui Beishi said with emotion. He didn't know Chen Fan's address, but he knew Yuan Lahong's, so he went to Yuan Lahong to try his luck. Unexpectedly, he really met Chen Fan. And the purpose of his visit this time was, of course, because of Chen Fan. Shui Beishi, what are you doing in my house? Yuan Lahong asked impatiently. I'm not here to see you. I'm here to see Mr. Chen. After saying that, without waiting for Yuan Lahong to agree or not, Shui Beishi sat down on the sofa next to Chen Fan very casually, as if she didn't consider herself an outsider. Mr. Chen, although I don't know why you cooperate with Yuan Lahong, I think I have more advantages than Yuan Lahong. If Mr. Chen doesn't mind, you can cooperate with me. As soon as Shui Beishi came up, she extended an olive branch to Chen Fan. Shui Beishi, what do you mean? Yuan Lahong was immediately furious. Shui Beishi was trying to poach his ally right in front of him. Sorry, not interested. Faced with Shui Beishi's invitation, Chen Fan refused it outright. To be honest, Shui Beishi is better than Yuan Lahong in terms of financial resources and strength, but Shui Beishi's character is not very good. How could Chen Fan cooperate with him? Yuan Lahong's financial resources are not so good. Chen Fan doesn't mind. He has the financial resources. According to what Xiang Lao said, Yuan Lahong's character is pretty good. Mr. Chun, I advise you to think carefully and don't be so hasty to refuse. Shui Beishi answered gloomily. His first step of planning to steal Chen Fan away failed. There was no other choice. Shui Beishi could only use the second trick. Yuan Lahong's liquid funds are estimated to be only 30 to 40 billion, while I have 6 billion, almost twice as much as him. As he spoke, Shui Beishi took out several bank cards to prove to Chen Fan that he was not bragging when he said he had 6 billion in liquid funds. 6 billion in liquid funds is such a huge sum. Once compared, it goes without saying who has the greater advantage over Mr. Jean. And this is the liquid funds I have. If I add the funds from my companies, it might be even more, even up to 700 million or 800 million. Shui Beishi showed off her huge amount of liquid funds in front of Chen Fan. Even Mr. Chen doesn't have so much liquid funds. Shui Beishi looked at Chen Fan with a sneer. Ding dong. Facing Shui Beishi's boasting, Chen Fan hadn't said anything yet when the cell phone next to him suddenly lit up and there was a message. Because Shui Beishi was sitting next to Chen Fan. When he heard the noise, he subconsciously looked over. However, when Shui Beishi saw the content of Chen Fan's text message, she was completely stunned. Your bank card with the last number 5167 is automatically deducted 50,000 yuan, and the balance is 1,029,875,3047 yuan. Tens of millions. Shui Beishi lost one by one. The more he counted, the more solemn his expression became. Hundreds of billions. After counting, Shui Beishi took a deep breath. 10 billion? A balance of hundreds of billions. My God, I must be hallucinating. Shui Beishi rubbed his eyes quickly and looked again. It was indeed an 11-digit number, a balance of tens of billions. How could Chen Fan have so much liquid funds? This is still the balance of a bank card. If there is more in other places, then Chen Fan would have more than 10 billion or even 20 billion in liquid funds. What an international joke. Hundreds of billions. Mr. Chen has a balance of hundreds of billions. Next to him, even Yuan Lahong was stunned when he heard what Shui Beishi said. As a wealthy man in Zhonghai province, he felt inferior in front of Chen Fan at this moment. Mr. Chen is awesome. How about it? Do you still think that 6 billion in liquid funds is a lot? Chen Fan asked Shui Beishi in return. Shui Beishi was suddenly embarrassed. Compared with other people's bank balances of tens of billions, his own 6 billion was nothing. Chen Fan took the phone and took a look. The 50,000 yuan automatic deduction was the electricity bill that Chen Fan set to pay automatically every month. For Chen Fan's luxury house in Jiangzhou, the electricity bill alone was tens of thousands of yuan every month. If you don't have anything to do, don't get in my way. Chen Fan ordered them to leave. Xue Beishi sat there with a gloomy face, not saying a word. Just when Xue Beishi was at a loss, he also received a text message. When he saw the content of the text message clearly, he was overjoyed. Bang! Xue Beishi slammed the table and stood up wildly. Chen Fan, why are you so arrogant? Arrogant? For some reason, Xue Beishi seemed to be very bold at this moment and didn't take Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong seriously at all. You just have more liquid capital, ugh. What's the big deal? You have to know that this is Lincheng, my territory, not your Jiangzhou, Xue Beishi said with a sneer. Xue Beishi, don't go too far. I think you are the arrogant one. Yuan Lahong was also angry. How dare Xue Beishi do that in his villa? At Yuan Lahong's command, 3 or 4 bodyguards from his family rushed over. 3 or 4 people? I am dying of laughter. You think you can deal with me with just these 3 or 4 people? It's just a fantasy. Xue Beishi spoke very presumptuously. As he spoke, he suddenly shouted, "Come!" The next second, the door of Yuan Lahong's villa was violently forced open from the outside. In an instant, 20 or 30 thugs rushed in and surrounded Chen Fan, Yuan Lahong, and the others. There were 20 or 30 thugs in Yuan Lahong's villa, and there were even more thugs outside his villa. If the villa was not too small, the people outside would have rushed in as well. This is the capital of Xue Beishi's arrogance. Immediately afterwards, under Xue Beishi's proud gaze, an important person walked in. Chapter 188 Chen Fan's identity as the top boss in Lincheng is exposed. Whose territory is Lincheng? Bi Hongkong? Looking at this important person who walked in, Yuan Lahong exclaimed. By Hong Kong, the top underground boss in Lincheng City, is said to have thousands of followers and is extremely powerful. Mr. Yuan, long time no see? Looking at Yuan Lahong, By Hong Kong greeted him with a smile. By Hong Kong, we have no grudges against each other. Why did you bring people into my house? Yuan Lahong questioned loudly. Why? You should ask boss Xue Beishi. By Hong Kong looked at Xue Beishi. He had always been supported by Xue Beishi. Since Xue Beishi wanted him to help, By Hong Kong naturally agreed. Yuan Lahong, I told you that your 3 or 4 bodyguards are a joke. Do you believe it now? Xue Beishi spoke arrogantly. By Hong Kong and his nearly 1,000 men are Xue Beishi's support. At the beginning, when he just arrived at Yuan Lahong's villa, and By Hong Kong's people had not arrived yet, Xue Beishi endured it temporarily. Until just now, Xue Beishi received the news from By Hong Kong that By Hong Kong had brought people to Yuan Lahong's villa. Xue Beishi became completely arrogant. Yuan Lahong's bodyguards had long been subdued by Hong Kong's thugs. Especially now that he was surrounded by 20 or 30, no, including those outside, a total of 50 or 60 thugs, Yuan Lahong did not dare to refute. Seeing Yuan Lahong was scared, Xue Beishi couldn't help laughing, and he turned to look at Chen Fan again. Just when Xue Beishi thought that Chen Fan would be like Yuan Lahong, surrounded by so many thugs and would be trembling with fear, he was surprised to find that Chen Fan was leisurely pouring tea for him, looking calm and composed as if facing a catastrophe. Xue Beishi was a little surprised. Humph, just pretending. Xue Beishi thought Chen Fan was just pretending to be calm, but he was actually very scared inside. That's right. Why are you pretending? By Hong Kong agreed. Mr. Chen, if this was in your territory, Jiangzhou, I might have lost, but this is Lincheng, my territory. This time, you lose. Xue Beishi felt that he had already won. I lost, didn't I? Who said Lincheng must be your territory? Chen Fan asked back. Lincheng is not my territory. Could it be your territory? An outsider who has just arrived in the city for less than a day. Xue Beishi was dismissive of Chen Fan's words. Mr. Chun, there are 2 options before you. The first option is to withdraw from the competition, get out of Lincheng, and never come back. Second, that is to cooperate with me. You provide the money, and I provide the connections. In the end, we split the profits, 20 hours, 80 minutes. That's right, 80:00 for me, and 2000 hours for you. Xue Beishi threatened Chen Fan harshly. In fact, at the beginning, Xue Beishi only gave Chen Fan one choice, that is, to withdraw from the competition and get out of Lincheng. But now, knowing that Chen Fan has so many liquid assets, Shui Beishi wants to make a fuss about this aspect, getting something for nothing, letting Chen Fan pay, and he only provides some connections, making money for free. Then I'll choose the third one. You withdraw from the competition, get out, and don't show up in front of me again. Chen Fan responded domineeringly. Good fellow, you are so brave to say that. Shui Beishi sneered. He gave Bai Hong Kong a look, asking Bai Hong Kong to teach Chen Fan a lesson and let Chen Fan know who has the final say in this place. Bai Hong Kong nodded and walked up to Chen Fan with a swagger. Boy, you are an outsider, so you may not know my name. Let me tell you, I'm the underground boss of lynching, and my methods are quite terrifying. Bai Hong Kong threatens Chen Fan. Who said I don't know you? Bai Hong Kong, aren't you ranked third in the underground world of lynching? Why are you so arrogant? Chen Fan said calmly. With just one phone call from me, you can lose all your territory and turn yourself from the third-ranked underground boss in lynching into a homeless vagrant. Haha, who do you think you are? You can make me lose my territory and become a homeless person just by making a phone call? Bai Hong Kong sneered at Chen Fan's words. Chen Fana's good answer. Who am I? I am Chen Fan. Hearing this, Bai Hong Kong's eyes widened and he looked at Chen Fan in disbelief. What's your name? Bai Hong Kong asked tremblingly. Chun Fan. Chen Fan replied calmly. Chun Fan? As the third-ranked underground boss in lynching, Bai Hong Kong naturally knew that the position of the number one underground boss in Linhai had changed hands and became a man named Chen Fan. At that time, he was thinking that he would have a chance to curry favor with his big shot Chun Fan, but he ended up running into him here. Gulp! Suddenly, a scene that puzzled Shui Beishi and Yuan Lahong appeared. After knowing Chen Fan's identity, Bai Hong Kong knelt directly in front of Chen Fan. Brother Chen, come up again. Accept my greeting. Bai Hong Kong bowed deeply to Chen Fan. Catch Shui Beishi for me. Immediately afterwards, Bai Hong Kong gave an order. Bai Hong Kong immediately changed sides. In an instant, several of his thugs captured Shui Beishi. Boss Chun, do you think I did the right thing? After finishing, Bai Hong Kong came to Chun Fan respectfully with the look of a lackey and poured tea for him. Although Shui Beishi gave him money to deal with others, it also depends on who this other is. Asking him to deal with the number one underground boss in lynching, isn't this asking for his own death? Chen Fan was stunned by the speed at which Bai Hong Kong, this fence-sitter, changed sides. But this is also good. Things are much simpler. Bai Hong Kong, I gave you money. What are you doing? Shui Beishi asked in confusion. Even Yuan Lahong was dumbfounded. Things turned around so quickly that he couldn't react. Humph. Is that the money you gave me? That's my death warrant. I'll give it back to you, you stinky money. Bai Hong Kong directly threw the bank card given by Shui Beishi to him. Bai Hong Kong, who loves money like his life, actually lost his money. Shui Beishi was stunned immediately, wondering what happened. Who do you think you are? You want to deal with Boss Chin? As he spoke, Bai Hong Kong rushed over and slapped Shui Beishi hard in the face. He kept beating Shui Beishi's face until it looked like a pig's head. It was so horrible that he finally stopped. Why on earth? Chen Fan, how did you do it? Shui Beishi asked unwillingly. How did I do that? Chen Fan snorted coldly, then looked at Bai Hong Kong. You tell him. Okay. Bai Hong Kong, with the look of a docile lackey, came in front of Shui Beishi again. Bai Hong Kong introduced Chen Fan's identity in an extremely grand and solemn manner. What did you say? Shui Beishi was so shocked that she was dumbfounded and felt terrible. Chapter 189. On the 39th day of severing ties, the reward is one of the top 10 leisure resorts in the country. Chen Fan is the number one underground boss in lynching. How could this happen? Shui Beishi exclaimed. Why? You dare to question Boss Chen's status as the number one underground boss in lynching? Hearing Shui Beishi say this, Bai Hong Kong clenched his fists and asked with a sneer. No. Shui Beishi quickly shook his head. He had just been beaten by Hong Kong and didn't dare to question it anymore. Now he completely believes that Chen Fan is the number one underground boss in lynching. But why? Isn't Chen Fan from Jiangzhou? How come his sphere of influence extends to their lynching? Shui Beishi really couldn't figure it out. What should she do now? Next to him, Yuan Lahong had a look of joy on his face. Even he didn't know that Mr. Chun had such an awesome identity. With Mr. Chen's identity, their cooperation with Mr. Jean was almost a sure thing. Mr. Chun is awesome. Do you still think lynching is your territory? Chen Fan looked at Shui Beishi. No. Xue Beishi was so scared that he quickly shook his head. At this moment, he really regretted it to the extreme. If he had known this would happen, he would never have dared to cause trouble, let alone compete with Chen Fan. Xue Beishi, you were very arrogant. Didn't you threaten me and Mr. Chen? Why are you so cowardly now? Yuan Lahong came over and questioned. Gulp. Xue Beishi knelt down in front of Chen Fan out of fear. And sorry, Nurkin. I'm a dog that looks down on you. I can't spit out ivory from my dog's mouth. I am willing to give up the competition and never appear in front of you again. I only ask you to calm down and let me go. Xue Beishi immediately expressed her intention to withdraw from the competition and gave the cooperation to Chen Fan and Yuan Lahong. At this moment, Xue Beishi was beaten black and blue by Hong Kong and looked extremely miserable. Go away. The matter was settled. Chun Fan waved his hand, not wanting to see this annoying Xue Beishi. Thank you, Mr. Chun. Thank you very much. Xue Beishi rolled away, and Bai Hong Kong hesitated for a long time before whispering. Boss Chun, there is something I don't know if I should tell you. Explain. Chun Fan nodded. Boss Chun, Guo Hongyi has always wanted to be the #1 underground boss in lynching. Now that you have just taken over, the situation is unstable. I think Guo Hongyi might cause trouble. You must be careful. Bai Hong Kong answered. Guo Hongyi is the second-rank underground boss in lynching. He is very powerful, far surpassing Bai Hong Kong. Because Bai Hong Kong has a bad relationship with him, Bai Hong Kong defected to Chun Fan without hesitation. The former #1 underground boss in lynching was backed by the Dongson group. Guo Hongyi also had someone backing him up. The two sides fought fiercely, and the people from the Dongson group only had a slight advantage. Now that the Dongson group has withdrawn, Mr. Chun has taken the position of the #1 underground boss in lynching. That bastard Guo Hongyi will most likely take advantage of Mr. Chen's unstable foothold and turbulent situation to cause trouble. Chun Fan nodded. He expected that someone might cause trouble. Otherwise, why would he stay in lynching for a few days? It was getting late, so Chun Fan left Yuan Lahong. Without the competition from Xue Beishi, Jin Yoming's business was almost certain to win. After returning to the large mansion, Chen Fan immediately contacted the Jiangzhou security group and asked them to come to the city just in case. After playing the game for a while, Chun Fan went to rest. On a new morning, the system's voice came. Bye. On the 39th day of severing the relationship, I will be rewarded with 100% ownership of Baywell Leisure Resort Villa, one of the top 10 leisure resorts in the country. The villa purchase agreement has been placed in your study. Please check it. Bayou Leisure Resort. Chun Fan's eyes lit up. Today's reward was quite interesting. Baywell Leisure Resort is located at the foot of Yueshan Mountain on the outskirts of Lynching City, covering an area of thousands of acres. The resort has a large water park, a tennis court, a small golf course, 2 basketball courts, a large hot spring hotel, and other leisure and entertainment venues. In addition, you can swim, ride horses, fish, camp, barbecue, and so on in the villa. Because Baywell Leisure Resort has beautiful scenery, fresh air, and a wide range of entertainment activities, it has successfully become one of the top 10 leisure resorts in the country. At the same time, it is also the #1 leisure resort in Zhonghai province. Baywell Leisure Resort is in Lincheng, so it's a good opportunity for Ruo Shui to bring her aunt over to experience it. Chun Fan muttered softly. Thinking of this, Chun Fan directly dialed Xiao Ruo Shui's number and spoke to her briefly. You can go to Baywell Leisure Resort in Lincheng. As soon as Chun Fan opened his mouth, Xiao Ruo Shui immediately agreed. A few days ago, Xiao Ruo Shui took her mother to visit the scenic spots in Jiangzhou. Now she didn't know where to take her mother. After Chun Fan said this, she had a destination. My mother and I will clean up as soon as possible. When Xiao Mingming next to her heard Xiao Ruo Shui say that they were going to Baywell Leisure Resort, she became excited. So she began to beg in various ways, and finally persuaded Xiao Ruo Shui to agree to let her take a few days off and go with her. By the way, brother-in-law, why don't we just book the train tickets for tonight and go to Lynching today? Xiao Mingming snatched her sister's phone and asked impatiently. That's not necessary. I'll send a private plane back to Jiangzhou in a while. When you're done packing, just go directly to Jiangzhou Airport. Chun Fan spoke. This morning, the private plane that Chun Fan lent to Jin Yongming returned to Lynching. Jin Yongming also came back. He and Jin Yongming made an appointment to talk about things at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Private jet, brother-in-law. You have a private jet. That's great. Xiao Mingming was very surprised. She didn't expect that her brother-in-law also had a private jet. This way, it would be more convenient for them to travel. After Chun Fan briefly chatted with Xiaorua Shui for a few words, he hung up the phone. At noon, Chun Fan went out to have lunch. At 1:30 in the afternoon, Chun Fan met Yuan Lahong and went to Jin Yongming's villa together. Thank you, Mr. Chun, for the private plane. It allowed me to finish my work and come back so quickly. As soon as he saw Chun Fan, Jin Yongming shook Chun Fan's hand and thanked him repeatedly. Nothing, Chun Fan said indifferently. Several people began to discuss the cooperation formally, and Chun Fan hinted at it to confirm the feasibility of the matter. After hearing Jin Yongming's answer, Chun Fan's doubts immediately disappeared. This thing can indeed be done, and the profit is very high. Just when Chun Fan wanted to continue asking a few key questions, the system's voice suddenly came. Chapter 190. I don't have more than 10 billion in my bank account. Only 10 billion. Bye. Go to Lynching City with Yuan Lahong to meet the big boss from the Southwest region to confirm the feasibility of the matter. Mission accomplished. Congratulations on obtaining top musical instrument proficiency. Can master 10 musical instruments, including violin, piano, guzheng, guqin. Congratulations on obtaining 139 experience points. Temporary mission completed. An extremely huge amount of memory flooded into Chun Fan's mind, and in an instant, Chun Fan became a master of the musical instrument. Chun Fan gained the ability to master musical instruments and became proficient in 10 of the most popular instruments in one fell swoop. At this moment, Chun Fan has completely mastered the arts of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. From now on, Chun Fan will be a perfect son-in-law to his future mother-in-law. He has won the absolute favor of his future mother-in-law. Then, how far will his future father-in-law be? Mr. Chun, my plan is this. Now we are in the city. Jin Yongming spoke. Chun Fan started chatting with him again. Because there was no competition from Shui Beishi, Jin Yongming chose to cooperate with Chun Fan and Yuan Lahong. But there is one thing I want to say in advance, Mr. Chun. The 20 billion profit I mentioned before is just the most conservative estimate. If things go well, there may even be 30 or 40 billion in profit. Therefore, the initial investment may be higher. I estimate that the investment will be around 8 billion to 10 billion. I will pay half, and the remaining half will be the liquid funds in Mr. Chen's hands. Jin Yongming stopped there. This point must be made clear first. Without sufficient funds, there will be no way to cooperate. Boss Jin, you are looking down on us, let alone the mere 40 to 50 billion in working capital. Even if it were all of it, it would be a piece of cake from Mr. Chen. Yuan Lahong responded immediately. Mr. Chen paid for all of it. Just a little bit of water? After hearing what Yuan Lahong said, Jin Yongming expressed deep doubt. Even if it is him, if he wants to gather about 10 billion yuan in working capital in one go, he needs to piece it together from here and there, and it may not be 100% possible. But Yuan Lahong told himself that for Mr. Chun, raising 10 billion was just a drop in the bucket, and that this was an exaggeration. Boss Jin, don't disbelieve me. Apart from anything else, Mr. Chen's bank account alone has more than 10 billion in cash. Isn't it easy to take out 10 billion? Yuan Lahong asked back. What did you say? Mr. Chun has tens of billions of cash in his bank card alone. Jin Yongming stood up suddenly and looked at Chun Fan in disbelief. Mr. Chun, is what Mr. Yuan said true? Jin Yongming couldn't quite believe it. Boss Yuan is exaggerating a bit. Chun Fan spoke. Really? Seeing Chun Fan say this, Jin Yongming breathed a sigh of relief. That's right. How could Mr. Chen have tens of billions of liquid funds by himself? However, before Jin Yongming could recover, Chun Fan corrected him. I don't have more than 10 billion in my bank account. Only 10 billion. Only 10 billion, that's all? Jin Yongming was stunned. There seemed to be not much difference between having 10 billion and more than 10 billion. Oh my god. Mr. Chen actually has 10 billion in cash, and that's just the cash in his bank card. If you add in the cash in other places, wouldn't that be more than 10 billion? The more Jin Yongming thought about it, the more shocked he felt. Even he couldn't do this. Mr. Chen is awesome. In an instant, Jin Yongming admired Chun Fan very much. Now, Jin Yongming had no worries at all. Afterwards, the three began to discuss the proportion of investment. At the beginning, Jin Yongming planned to take 40% for himself, and Chun Fan and Yuan Lahong would each take 30%. After all, it was his proposal. No, I only need 10. The remaining 20 should be given to Mr. Chun. After hearing the ratio, Yuan Lahong immediately expressed his opinion. This time, we can cooperate with Jin Yongming thanks to Mr. Chen. He has done almost nothing. So how dare he hold the same shares as Mr. Chen? He only needs 10%. If what Yuan Lahong said is true, then Chen Fan will own 50% of the shares, instantly surpassing Jin Yongming and becoming the #1 person in the company in the future. Jin Yongming was silent. Okay, I agree with Boss Yuan's approach. If it was before, Jin Yongming would never agree if he didn't know that Chun Fan had tens of billions in cash. He would definitely take the lion's share and be the first. But now, after knowing Chun Fan's strength, Jin Yongming had no choice but to agree. After all, this was Zhonghai province, and it was someone else's territory. Finally, the two sides formally reached an agreement. While Chun Fan and Jin Yongming were discussing, in a manner on the outskirts of Lincheng, Guo Guangsheng, the second largest underground boss in Lincheng, was deep in thought. Brother, it's probably not easy for Chun Fan to take over the position of Lincheng's #1 underground boss from Dongsun Group. You should think twice. Guo Guangsheng's trusted military advisor suggested. I admit that Chun Fan is not a simple person, but I am not a pushover. Before, the guy surnamed Liu was here, and he only suppressed me a little bit. Now that guy surnamed Liu is gone, and the Dongsun Group is gone too. Chun Fan has just arrived and cannot completely control the territory. Guo Guangsheng said excitedly. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If we don't act now and severely suppress Chun Fan, we will never have another chance once Chun Fan firmly secures his position as the top OSS. Guo Guangsheng was afraid that when he got old in the future, he would have no chance to take over the position of the #1 underground boss in Lincheng. Now is the best time. But brother, the military advisor wanted to speak, but was stopped by Guo Guangsheng. I know what you mean. You guess the power behind Chun Fan is not simple. Then is the power behind me ordinary. This is my last chance and also my best chance. I have made up my mind to take action against Chun Fan. Guo Guangsheng answered firmly. Guo Guangsheng came to the military advisor and whispered in a low voice for fear of being heard by others. I'm going to give you something very important. Chapter 191 Chun Fan's method of completely controlling Lincheng. Xiaorua Shui and her daughter arrived in Lincheng. Guo Guangsheng whispered something in the military advisor's ear. Okay, I'll do it right away. The military advisor went into action. Someone is here. Find a way to contact Chun Fan for me and arrange a time. I want to meet him. Let's use courtesy first and force later. Guo Guangsheng ordered again. If Chun Fan gives up his position as the #1 boss and becomes the #2, then I will spare his life. Yes, brother. Guo Guangsheng's men did it. At around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, Chen Fan drove straight to Lincheng Airport. After a while, Xiaorua Shui and her sister and their mother arrived, and Chen Fan came to pick them up. As soon as he walked into the airport pickup area, Chen Fan saw an acquaintance from afar. It was Sun Zexu, whom he met at the party last night. Mr. Chun. Sun Zexu also saw Chen Fan and came over to say hello. After what happened yesterday, Sun Zexu came over to greet him politely. After learning that Chun Fan drove a Rolls-Royce Ghost and lived in Xingsha Mansion, Sun Zexu was extremely polite to Chen Fan. I'm here to pick up my girlfriend. Who are you? Sun Zexu asked curiously. What a coincidence. I'm here to pick up my girlfriend too. Chen Fan replied. Oh. Hearing this, Sun Zexu was stunned, and the image of Chun Fan's ex-girlfriend Song Manyu suddenly appeared in his mind. Last year, he had met Chen Fan and his girlfriend once in Jiangzhou. When he thought of Song Manyu, Sun Zexu couldn't help but show a sense of superiority on his face. His girlfriend is better than Song Manyu in terms of figure and appearance. He may not be as financially capable as Chun Fan, but when it comes to his girlfriend, he is far better than Chen Fan. Sun Zexu felt much more comfortable knowing that he was finally a little better than Chen Fan. A few minutes later, Sun Zexu's girlfriend walked out of the exit dragging a suitcase. Mr. Chen, let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend Yuan Yuan. Noticing his girlfriend coming over, Sun Zexu proudly pulled his girlfriend and showed off in front of Chen Fan. Why didn't you buy me a first-class ticket? What do you do for a living? As a result, as soon as the girlfriend came up, she started scolding Sun Zexu. First class is sold out. There's nothing I can do. Sun Zexu answered helplessly. You can't buy first class now that it's gone, right? Men like you are such a loser. In front of Chen Fan, the girlfriend didn't give Sun Zexu any face at all, and Sun Zexu felt a little embarrassed. Although his girlfriend has a bad temper, she is beautiful. Looking at Chen Fan, Sun Zexu still feels superior. At this moment, a loud commotion was heard from afar, attracting the attention of many people at the scene. They were a group of 3 very elegant mother and daughter, especially the pair of incredibly beautiful sisters, who attracted the attention of countless boys present. Even Sun Zexu was stunned. He originally thought that his girlfriend was very beautiful, but in front of the pair of sisters, especially the older sister, she immediately paled in comparison. At this moment, he finally understood what stupefying beauty meant. Sun Zexu felt emotional. He thought that the boyfriend of a beauty of this level must be a top-notch playboy. And these three mother and daughters were Xia Ruoshui and her friends. Chun Fan. After discovering Chun Fan, Xia Ruoshui threw herself into Chen Fan's arms and gave him a big hug. Seeing this scene, Sun Zex's eyes widened immediately. What's happening? In his impression, wasn't Chen Fan's girlfriend Song Manyu? How did she become this stunningly beautiful girl? He must be dreaming. Sister, you and your brother-in-law haven't seen each other for just 2 days. You don't have to show off your affection to us as soon as you meet, do you? Beside her, Xia Mingming asked sourly. After hearing what Xia Mingming said, Sun Zexu was completely certain that the girlfriend Chen Fan was waiting for was Xia Ruoshui. It's likely that Chen Fan has broken up with Song Manyu. Looking at Xia Ruoshui, the only remaining sense of superiority in Sun Zexu's heart suddenly disappeared, and he froze there. No matter how he compares to his girlfriend, he still loses completely. Immediately afterwards, under Sun Zex's envious gaze, Chen Fan took Xia Ruoshui and her daughter away. Annie, it's a little late today. Let's go to Beiwa Leisure Resort tomorrow morning. I have already made arrangements. On the way, Chen Fan spoke. Beiwa Leisure Resort is very large and has many attractions, so they may have to stay for a few days. An hour ago, Chen Fan called the people at Beiwa Leisure Resort and asked the staff to arrange their accommodation in advance to ensure that they had a good time during the next few days. Okay, Xiao Fan, we'll follow your instructions. Xia Ruoshui's mother nodded. Chen Fan first took Xia Ruoshui, her mother and daughter out for a meal, and then returned to his own large flat. In the evening, Xia Ruoshui, her daughter and her 2 daughters went shopping in the mall next to Xingshi Mansion. Chen Fan didn't like shopping, so he stayed at home. Boom, boom. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Chen Fan went to open the door, only to see a sturdy man in his 50s standing in front of him with a subordinate. It's Chen Fan, Boss Chun, right? The muscular man asked directly. Who are you? This is our Guo Hongyi, Boss Guo. The men next to him introduced the sturdy man. As the second largest underground boss in Lincheng, Guo Hongyi naturally has a wide network of contacts, and Chen Fan's residence has not been hidden at all. After asking around, he found out where Chen Fan lived. Boss Chen, if it's okay, I'd like to talk to you. Ye Hongyi spoke. Go ahead. Chen Fan spoke. Boss Chun, I think you have guessed the purpose of my visit. Guo Hongyi went straight to the point. Actually, I don't want to have a conflict or anything. As long as Boss Chun takes the initiative to give up the position of the #1 underground boss and you become the second in command, I can refrain from attacking any entertainment venues owned by Boss Chun. What Guo Hongyi wants is not the benefits, but this position. Be the second one. Chun Fan shook his head. He didn't like this title. Boss Chun, are you refusing? Guo Hongyi's face turned cold. Yes. Chun Fan spoke. Okay. Very good, Chen Fan. You will regret your choice today. Ye Hongyi snorted coldly. He was using courtesy before force. Since Chun Fan didn't know how to appreciate it, then don't blame him. After saying that, Guo Hongyi turned around and left with his men. After arriving downstairs, Guo Hongyi immediately ordered his men to take action. He wanted to catch Chen Fan off guard. At this moment, upstairs, Chen Fan was also standing in front of the French window of the large flat, looking at Guo Hongyi quietly. Do you really think that he has done nothing in the past 2 days and was just waiting obediently for Guo Hongyi to take action, and he was forced to fight back? How is that possible? Chen Fan had already made arrangements and was just waiting for Guo Hongyi to fall into his trap. In fact, as soon as he arrived in Lincheng and knew that Guo Hongyi was a danger, Chen Fan wanted to take action immediately to resolve this trouble first and defeat Guo Hongyi completely. But on second thought, he had just taken over the position of the #1 underground boss in Lincheng. If he took action against the local boss right from the start, it would easily cause panic and arouse fear among other underground bosses in Lincheng. At that time, if Guo Hongyi fanned the flames and organized other underground bosses in Lincheng, it would be difficult to deal with them. What Chen Fan needs to do is to solve the trouble of Guo Hongyi without causing any panic to other underground bosses in Lincheng, so that they can approve of his approach and win over the hearts of the people. This is the best way to secure his position as the #1 underground boss in Lincheng. Therefore, Chen Fan needs a legitimate reason. And now, Guo Guangsheng took the initiative to act, which gave Chen Fan an excuse to deal with Guo Guangsheng. He has already arranged people to be prepared, and now Guo Guangsheng has taken the initiative to take the bait. Now it's time to close the net. Chapter 192, all the big guys in lynching gathered together. From now on, Chen Fan will be the leader in lynching.